Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz, your host of the Raiders Report, and we are live. And I'll tell you what, man, I got a hell of a show on tap for everybody out there. If you haven't already voted at the live poll at the top of the show, let me know who you want the Raiders starting quarterback to be this week. And literally, at the moment that I am getting ready to start this show, we do have some Raiders news that we need to discuss. Desmond Ritter will wear number 10, so spam 10 down below. Don't worry, he's not wearing number 4. We don't need to have anybody freaking out over him wearing the number 4. Aiden O'Connell, he is on IR. He's out for at least 4 games for the Silver and Black. He is expected to be out 4 to 6 weeks overall. Also, the Raiders, they went out and signed wide receiver Terrace Marshall and also tight end, it looks like Trevon Wesco, to their practice squad. So we just added 2 players to the practice squad. Desmond Ritter is on the active squad. He's going to wear number 10, and Aiden O'Connell to IR. That's why you subscribe. That's why you turn on those notifications. That way, you never miss a thing. Somebody just said, Jimmy Ritter. I'll tell you this, I hope Desmond Ritter is a lot better than Jimmy Garoppolo. So coming up here on today's live show, I'm going to tell you why I believe the Las Vegas Raiders should start Desmond Ritter this week up against the Kansas City Chiefs, so just please keep that in mind. We'll also be breaking down some of the latest Raiders rumors that definitely need to be discussed. Then, the NFL trade deadline, November 5th. It's literally right around the corner. In fact, a week from today, no trades are allowed, or 2 weeks, 2 weeks from today, no more trades are allowed to be done. So we're going to go through and I'm going to tell you 10 players that continuously get brought up in trade discussions, and I'll tell you whether or not the Raiders should shop them or the Raiders should keep them for this team. And then, since, let's have a little bit of fun today, I'm going to do a Desmond Ritter duck race. Mitch, what the hell does that mean? $20 Venmo, first place gets the money. Last place, instead of getting the butthole pick, I'm going to get you a Desmond Ritter Raiders jersey because why the hell not? But you know what? It is FKC week, so I need all y'all right now, spam FKC down below because I don't care if the Raiders are 0-7. I don't care if the Raiders are 1-6. I don't care if the Raiders are 2-5. I don't care what the Raiders' record is.
FKC. 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 We did it. We did it. Jones.
FKC's down below. I got David Zorn, Juan Hernandez, Top Beats. What up, Malachi, Joshua Garcia, Paul Dool, Victoria B, JD Francis, King Zay, Diego Mendia. What is up to the entire nation at the side of the poll up today? I'll tell you what, we got a fun show on tap for all y'all ready to rock and roll.
We are ready to rock. And we are ready to roll.
Justin Abgen, he's been the MVP for the month of October. I got a special surprise for him. That's going to be coming up here in a little bit. Also, if you want to get your questions, your comments here on today's show, hashtag Raiders, or you can super chat to skip the line to get featured.
Some news just did happen.
Yep.
So a little, turning back the curtain for y'all to see how we're going to do this. Do you want to put it in the first cut or do you want to step off for a second? Make it short while I tell them about the amazing sponsor of today's show.
That's what I was hoping for.
Okay, well, since Mitch is going to go make a quick short,
yep,
I'm going to tell you about the sponsor of today's show, and that is PrizePicks. Get started today with America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. All you do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your money. Over on PrizePicks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5 with code CLNS. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. And PrizePicks, they're giving you tons of promotions. Like, basketball starting today. Anthony Edwards, 0.5 points today. 0.5 points, and it's a win. They also have great deals like Taco Tuesday, where they discount certain players' projections on Tuesdays up to 25%. So what's stopping you from getting started with our sponsor over at PrizePicks? Get started today. Once again, use the code CLNS to get started today. And since we're talking a little PrizePicks, and since we are talking a little baseball, I want to know from everybody at home, how are we feeling about Shohei Ohtani? Will he homer in game 1? Give me more if you think he's going to homer. Give me less if you don't think he's going to get a home run. Game 1 of the World Series with the Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani. Will he go yard? Give me more. Give me less. Mitch is going to be right back. He's making a quick video. The Raiders signed Terrace Marshall to the practice squad. Same with, I believe is it Trevon Wesco, the tight end? I have to double check. But they also signed a tight end. Both formerly played with the Panthers. I see Kings A. All he's doing is hitting dongs. Showtime from Victoria. Kings A says, but go Yankees. Joshua says FKC. Yoda says more. I know we got some Yankees fans here in the building as well, in here in the Chat Sports Studios. I'm looking at one right now. Yeah, it's an ugly MFer. Let me know. Let me know. Will Shohei Ohtani go yard? As we do have some super chats rolling in on today's show. First one came in from Edgar. He just sent a $2 super chat. Thank you for the donation, Edgar. John, sorry, still going to lose as long as shitty OC is still calling plays. I said it after the game up against the Rams. It would be the most Raiders thing to win this weekend's game up against the Chiefs with nothing to really gain from it except just pride in the fact that you're whooping up on the Kansas City Chiefs. I have a gut feeling like the Raiders, maybe they don't win, but I think they play the Chiefs very well because it is the Chiefs. And they want to beat Patrick Mahomes. They want to prove that, the Chiefs, even though they're winning the AFC West right now, that they don't own it. So I think I could see the Raiders coming out and playing with a chip on their shoulder this weekend, especially, we know Crosby. We know his relationship with Patrick Mahomes, and he might be calling him a little ass boy this weekend. Nick Sanchez, FKC, let's go, baby! I'm ready for the show. I'm ready for the show, too. I'm ready to get it popping. And we're going to talk about this in the first segment, and I'm glad Mitch isn't here because I don't want him to give away his answer just yet. So I'm going to ask you. We were getting kind of razzed in the Chat Sports office about suggesting that Desmond Ritter could start this week up against the Chiefs. I know. He just got signed yesterday. Jeremy, it's not even a full week of preparation. I know. But, what are your other options? Gardner Minshew has zero confidence. Carter Bradley, a UDFA. Would you start, or should the Raiders start Desmond Ritter this week up against the Chiefs? Give me a yes. Give me a no. What are we thinking? Top Beat says anybody but Minshew. And he says, damn right they should. The AK Mad says no. Yoda Jenkins is saying yes. Just Win Baby says yes. Patrick B says yes. Ismael saying yes. Bruh, man, says yes. Victoria B says yes. Jaime Alvarado is saying yes. Jorge saying hell yeah. Hell yeah. We got a C from Raider Prime. Looks like more yeses. And if you're haven't already, vote in the live poll at the top of the chat. Who should start at quarterback? Gardner Minshew has the least amount of votes at 8%. Then it's Carter Bradley at 12%, and then Desmond Ritter at 80% right now. Looks like most people want Desmond Ritter to start. And Bowie, I almost agree with you. What do you have to lose? Minshew's not the guy of the future. Carter Bradley's a UDFA, so, nothing really to lose there. Desmond Ritter's a former, I hope I'm getting this right, a former third-round pick? Petey? Third-round pick, Desmond Ritter? A former third-round pick. Had a good collegiate career with Cincinnati. What do you have to lose? Ben Jones says yes. Gardner Minshew's too charitable. Well, don't get your hopes up too much yet because Desmond Ritter, even though he does bring a little bit of hope, he doesn't come with the best track record in terms of taking care of the ball, as our Falcons host Matthew Peterson pointed out to us so eloquently earlier in the day that if you're looking for somebody to take care of the ball, I don't know if Ritter is necessarily that guy. So we'll have to see. Raider Rick says start Jacoby Myers. At quarterback? Are you sure? You sure about that? You sure about that? Trey, yeah, that is something, though. Trey Tucker played in college with Desmond Ritter. Will they have a connection? Will they have something going with Trey and I see Riddler. Lil Fonzie says Trey Tucker and Desmond Ritter. I mean, obviously they are very well known with each other, have a lot of rapport from their time in Cincinnati.
All right, y'all, I am back. What do you think, Chuggs? Should the Raiders start Desmond Ritter this week against the Chiefs? Yes or no?
I kind of am on the boat of, what do you have to lose? I know you can't give an answer because you're going to tell them later on in the show. I'm kind of in the boat of, I mean, what do you have to lose? Like, if Gardner Minshew's going to play with his tail tucked in between his legs and look like a dejected teenager during the game.
Sure.
I mean,
David's on spamming.
You want somebody who at least is going to bring a little confidence.
Sure. I hear you.
And maybe that's Ritter, maybe it's not. But you don't have a ton of options on your team. Minshew, Carter Bradley, Desmond Ritter.
Somebody said, can I get sarcastic Mitch back? Here's the thing. You're really only going to get sarcastic Mitch on game days because I feel like that's the only day that I really got to be sarcastic. The other 6 days when you cover the Raiders, anything's possible, right?
Yeah.
Like Desmond Ritter on the Raiders now. Are we back or what, man?
Yeah.
Are we back or what?
Come on. Am I right?
Oh, dude.
Am I right?
Hey, man, I do know this. We got 600 Raider fans here in the chat, and I only see 113 likes. If you don't click the like button, you're a closet Chiefs fan. If you don't click that like button, you want the Raiders to roll with either Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, Carter Bradley, or Desmond Ritter as the quarterback next season.
Reminder, we are doing a duck race today. We usually don't do duck races on Tuesdays, but we wanted to do a special promotion. The winner gets half the pot. Whoever comes in last place, we're going to send you a Desmond Ritter jersey. You might be the first person
You
on
might be
Earth.
the only person.
Could you imagine you go to the game on Sunday and you see somebody rocking a Raiders 10 Ritter jersey?
Dude, I mean, that's pretty. If I had to guess, a 10 Raiders Ritter jersey probably has some duct tape over it. I mean, let's be honest. That's probably the way that jersey looks.
So
a little bit of duct tape over that.
If you want to get in on the duck race, make sure to scan this or go to Venmo and find Mitchell Renz 365. Make sure 2 L's, Mitchell Renz 365 to get it popping.
Luis Rodriguez is the first person to get it in.
Ritter is wearing number 10.
Yes, correct. He is wearing number 10.
Even though I was really hoping it was 4.
I'm not going to lie. I was kind of hoping it was 4. Like, I know the way that number 4 is for a lot of y'all people out there with Derek Carr, but, I mean, DC will go down as one of the greatest Raiders quarterbacks of all time. Statistically, he's going to be probably the greatest one ever, at least at this current juncture. But then again, I don't understand how any person out there could want to retire a number for a guy where never won a playoff game. You know what I mean? Like if Derek Carr had a lot of success with this team, sure, and that maybe that's me just being a little bit harsh on DC at times. But I'm not going to retire a number for a guy that never won a playoff game. Let's go to thumbs up, subscribe. You bring Ritter in Monday, hoping he will start. I think the Raiders simply were like, we got to do something. And whether or not he ends up starting, you make the Kansas City Chiefs plan for both. You make them plan for Ritter.
Yep.
You make them plan for Minshew. Because Aiden O'Connell got put on IR, and because Carter Bradley's on the practice squad, I mean, who knows? Maybe the Raiders are like, all right, we're going to make them plan for Minshew and Ritter, and then on game day, they promote Carter Bradley and he starts. That's a little bit crazy. I don't think that ends up happening. I would say the only way that Bradley does end up starting is if the Raiders would have put him on the active roster today. Because they didn't do that, it's probably going to simply be between Gardner Minshew and Desmond Ritter. Let's go to James Turner. What's up, James?
Related to Desi.
You think?
Maybe.
I mean, maybe. Shit. We have been mid for too long. Just go for Ward for Miami and reset. We need a quarterback, but at least beat the Chiefs. But we aren't going anywhere.
We asked this before. Let us know in the comment section. If you could draft a quarterback right now, who would it be?
Yep.
And if you haven't seen it, Mitch has put out a video already of 10 quarterbacks most likely to be the Raiders quarterback in 2025.
Cam Ward is on that.
You might be surprised. Who's number 1?
You might be surprised who's number 1. Cam Ward is on that list. Cam Ward is not number one. I'll admit, Ward's my favorite quarterback in this year's class, but I don't know if it's going to be a guaranteed to get him. I mean, if I'm a team picking in the NFL and I have the number one overall pick, unless I have a quarterback, but if you're picking number one overall, you probably don't. I'm taking Cam Ward.
I have to mention this because it's all over the news headlines today. If you're on X, it's probably all up and down your feed.
Uh-oh.
The rumors around the Minnesota Vikings trading for Matthew Stafford.
That's crazy.
What does that mean for Stafford? What does that mean for Sam Darnold? Would you rather sign Sam Darnold this offseason than draft a quarterback?
Who?
Anybody. You?
I'll say this. It would be weird, but if Minnesota does truly, truly believe that their Super Bowl window is now, and we've seen it from time to time, like sometimes a quarterback like Sam Darnold could be good for a month, maybe can be good for a few weeks. What if the Vikings are getting a little bit worried, like, all right, our ultimate goal right now with how good our defense is to win a Super Bowl in this division, maybe we got to go out and get Stafford, somebody who's been in this division before. I mean, it would be entertaining. There's no doubt about it. But I agree, the Raiders have been mid for a long time. I'll admit, whether Ritter starts or not, I do. I like the move by the Raiders simply because you had to at least do something. You don't spend a lot of money next season. You don't use any draft capital for next season. And you have a quarterback that could at least fill in potentially while Aiden O'Connell's on IR. Let's go to Albert. What's up, my man? We have zero leadership on offense. Seriously, who is rallying the troops? Our best player, Brock, hates to speak. No one wants to hear from Goofy Minshew.
Where the whole thing with Brock, I know he does have a little bit of a...
He's quiet.
A little bit of a camera shyness, but I mean... When he's on the field, he is not shy one bit. He is the one making all the plays for this team. And usually, who's the leader of the offense? Who's the guy in the huddle? It's the quarterback. And I said it earlier why I would say go ahead and maybe start Ritter, because if you don't have a guy who's confident as your quarterback, that is supposed to be your leader. Yep. That's like going to war and your general is shitting his pants.
Yeah.
You're like, I think we might die. This guy's not ready to take us to war. He's crying in the back room, and we're getting ready for battle.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, it's hard for me to kind of go into everything that I want to be able to discuss here, but the Raiders do need some leadership on the offensive side of the football. You know, they were hoping that Devontae would be that leadership, and Devontae was the complete opposite of that. I think when you look at who's the players that are the leaders on that offense, Jacoby Myers, another very soft-spoken player. Colt Miller, another very soft-spoken player.
And it's hard to be a leader when you're having a rough season, too, in Colt Miller.
Colt Miller's played a little bit better, but, you know, this is a team that doesn't have too many ties to Miller. He doesn't have a lot of his buddies that are on this team compared to years past just because he's been on this team for so long. But I don't disagree with you. The Raiders need some leadership. It's got to come from AP. It's got to come from literally everybody. And even if you're not playing on the offensive side of the football, I think what Max Crosby did a few weeks ago, if you guys remember with, you know, Gardner Minshew, where I think Minshew ended up throwing an interception. Crosby went up to him, grabbed him, and was like, hey, man, like, we need you to be that guy. And Minshew went out there and ended up being that guy. I don't know what you got to do to Minshew now. Like, I think Crosby's got to do one of these, but
yeah,
like, you do need some leadership, and it's got to come from at least somebody on that roster.
Speaking of Colton Miller, because he has been a part of some trade talks, and we're talking Matthew Stafford. Somebody in the chat said it as well. There also looks like they might be shopping Cooper Kupp. It looks like, from reports, the Rams have reached out to teams to gauge interest in Cooper Kupp. So I want to know, for the Raiders, one player you think that could get traded at the deadline this season?
So the NFL trade deadline is November 5th, 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Nothing else going on that day.
November 5th.
Seems like a pretty boring day outside the NFL trade deadline. Seems like a pretty mundane kind of day.
Yeah, I can't think of a single thing outside of the NFL trade deadline going on November 5th.
Yeah, probably not.
There's probably nothing important in this country whatsoever on that day. It's probably the most important thing is the NFL trade deadline.
Yeah.
Or the fact that we're going to be live here on the Raiders Report, so make sure you're subscribed. Juice89 says Zamir White. Another name's coming a lot.
That is an interesting name as somebody who showed some promise last season and has just kind of came out flat this year.
Yeah, it's I have a list of names of some people, but to be honest with you, were talking about Cooper Kupp. I think the Raiders go up against Cooper Kupp this week. I'm serious. I think Cooper Kupp gets traded to the Chiefs. I know. I hear you. I hope not either. But if I'm the Rams and I'm the Chiefs,
I'm gonna throw up.
You want to trade him away from the NFC. You want to send him to a team that's going to offer you the most for him. The Chiefs were interested in Devontae. That one was never going to happen. The Chiefs were interested in Brandon Ayuk. That deal ended up getting done. I'm telling you right now, I think Cooper Kupp's a Chief.
Marshall, do you have something
to say? Which just breaks my heart.
Oh, no. He's saying the Chiefs.
Oh.
You got a lot of side eye, a bombastic side eye.
If the Raiders trade for Cooper Kupp, I don't know what to think of this football team.
Could the Knicks trade for LeBron James?
Perhaps. Let's go to the Golden Bachelor, my man Steve L. What's up, Steve L?
You said you've been watching that show.
Yeah, I love the Golden Bachelor. If you don't watch the Golden Bachelor, you should.
Then F you.
It is a unbelievably great show.
Should we go to this one from James Turner?
Jack Hossel, you are in.
I don't want to skip this one.
You are in. The problem is we keep putting bandages over scars. We've never rebuilt. Del Rio tried since 2002 and give Holmes from the Lions the bag. I don't know who Holmes from the Lions is. Like, do you mean Ben Johnson the bag? Like the homie Holmes?
Yeah, maybe Ben Johnson.
The only guy that I'm giving the bag to on the Lions that's like realistic, I'm going to say is Ben Johnson would be my guess there. But you're not wrong. The Raiders they've tried to do the rebuild process a lot faster than a lot of teams out there. But I'll also say this. The Raiders have also tried to rebuild. It's just the problem was John Gruden and Mike Mayock just drastically failed. Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler drastically failed. The Raiders had 7 first-round picks from 2019 to 2021, right? Or 2020. No, 6 first-round picks. You had 3 in 2019, 2 in 2020, and then Alex Leatherwood.
I think
you had 6 first-round picks in 3 years. Like, that's a team trying to do its best to rebuild, and you shit the bed. 3 of those guys aren't even in the league anymore.
I was going to say, I think the only person who made it through his rookie contract was Josh Jacobs.
With the Raiders? Yes.
That's the only person who made it all the way through his rookie contract.
Yeah, I mean, Arnett got cut. Ruggs is in jail.
Abram got cut.
Leatherwood got cut.
Cleveland Ferrell got traded.
But he was a bust. Like, the Raiders did try to rebuild. They really tried to do it. They tried to move on from Khalil Mack. And it's one of the other reasons why if I'm Mark Davis, I don't know if I do that again. Because it's going to cost, if you're going to trade away Max Crosby, it's going to be way, way more than what Khalil Mack cost. I can promise you that. But the Raiders already tried that route, and it was just such a drastic fail.
And see, JM, you're saying bring Gruden back. The thing is, he was the one making a lot of those picks because the reports were that Gruden was making the first-round picks. And if you're a team that's needing to rebuild and a team that needs to rebuild, especially through the draft.
Yep. I will never understand somebody saying bring back John Gruden. Like honestly, I'm not a politic guy. But imagine a really bad president and somebody goes, we should bring that guy back.
Imagine you have an ex-girlfriend where you're like, oh, dude, she sucked. It's like, maybe I should call her.
Maybe I should bring her back.
I think
if the Raiders are going to do this, you need to do it through the draft. There has never been a worse GM head coach combination in the history of the NFL at evaluating talent in the draft.
I think it's just because Raider fans are drunk outside the club at 2 a.m. right now, and they're like, I miss you so much, baby.
They're like
Gruden you up.
They're like, it's 1 o'clock on the West Coast. Let's get wild here.
Gruden, I saw you on TikTok breaking down all those games.
That's the only reason why I think that people are talking about Gruden again, because Gruden's making people laugh. Like, Gruden's a hilarious dude. I wish John Gruden would have worked out. I really do. I still wish that the Chucky heads were a thing. Like, the amount, I loved the energy Gruden brought, also Gruden was just
What's
living.
Your dog's name?
He was living in a while ago. What?
What's your dog's name?
It's not because of that. It's not, I promise.
Now it's not because of that. If they still had him, it'd be like, oh, yeah.
If I tell you why Chuck's name is named Chuck, I think a lot of people here are going to laugh at me a little bit. I'll be real. I didn't come up with the name. It was an Alex name. Steve L. Hi, boys. I may have missed this. Any updates on Mayer? Hoping he's taking care of whatever he's battling off the field. I like to be able to be honest with you guys. I got no update on this. Like, I don't know if anybody has an update on it. I don't know if there's a single person from the Raiders. This has been cold. Like, and the fact that it was reported that somebody from Mayer's family reached out to the Raiders and just like let them know that Michael's dealing with something that he's dealt with in the past. I have no idea what's going on with the man situation. As soon as we do get an update, though, I will do my best to let you know. Can we get some God bless yous from Jeremy Chuggs? Holy shit. Is that, you guys say God bless you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? All right. I just didn't know. I figured I'd make sure before I tell everyone to spam it. Jersey boy, what's up?
So we say Moses bless you.
Moses bless you? I mean, that makes sense. Starting from this day on, Moses bless you on the Raiders Report. That's it. You in?
Oh.
I'm in.
What
up, Jersey boy? Surprised you didn't mention Jackson Dart in that video you made. Guess you're not big on him at all. I think Jackson Dart is an okay quarterback prospect, and you're not the first person that brought up the name Jackson Dart. You're also not the first person that brought up the name Rourke, the quarterback from Indiana. I watched him over the weekend. He was really impressive to me. That list was not quarterbacks that I want the Raiders to draft. It was not a list of quarterbacks that I want the Raiders to have under center in 2025. It was me taking off of my, fandom and putting on my betting cap in a sense and going, if I was a betting man, who do I think are the top 10 quarterbacks most likely to be the Raiders quarterback
next
season?
To be honestly, Mitch put on his best bowl cut to think, what would Mark Davis do?
Yeah.
During this draft.
I don't think Riley Leonard is a very good quarterback, but because Tom Telesco has shown in years past that he is connected to Notre Dame players, that's why Riley Leonard is in that video. I mean, that's the only reason. If Riley Leonard is the Raiders starting quarterback next season, I'm going to throw up a lot. Over and over and over again. Aggressive was at the game. What a shit show. #pain. I will not be at the Raiders game this weekend, but I will be out in Vegas on Saturday. If there's a Raiders party or if there's like a popular Raiders bar on Saturday nights that likes to get down, I'm going to be free. I'm down to have a drink, down to get some food.
Get down on it.
I got nothing going on Saturday night, so hit me up. Let's go to Navman. F it. Start Ritter or Bradley. See what these dudes got. I think Lanyard should go to best dad joke on a $5 super chats.
Deal. Today, we'll give a lanyard out. Whoever has the best joke on a $5 super chat,
okay,
we'll send a lanyard.
Sounds good. I like this. We have plenty of lanyards out there, so we'll keep this competition going until we don't have any more.
We'll be the judges on Raider Nation's Got Talent.
Raider Nation's Got Talent. I'm in. Let's go to James Turner. I meant Johnson. My bad. Yeah, I think we ended up figuring Holmes was Ben Johnson. I would love to be able to go all in Ben Johnson. And it's one of the reasons, one of the reasons why I said, I actually like the move of Desmond Ritter, because if you're going to attract probably the top head coach candidate in the NFL next season, you need to have a very high draft pick, which the Raiders are still going to have. As excited as I've been about Desmond Ritter, which I'm excited because it's something different, right? And that's the God honest truth. I'm excited about Desmond Ritter because that means that this team's actually at least trying to do something, and it's different than Gardner Minshew, and I know that Aiden O'Connell can't play. But if you want to bring in Ben Johnson, you need to have, I'm going to say, a top 5 draft pick. You're going to have a lot of salary cap space, which the Raiders have, which is one of the reasons why I'm glad that they didn't go out and get Ryan Tannehill, though I do think Tannehill is a better quarterback right now than Desmond Ritter. It's also why I'm happy that the Raiders didn't go out and trade for, a lot of people are like, Mitch, go out and trade for Hendon Hooker. It's not that I don't want Hendon Hooker on this team. It's not that I don't think that he's a better player.
A hooker in Vegas would move mountains.
A hooker in Vegas would do a lot of crazy things in Vegas. But then again, I want to have that extra draft capital because we need that draft capital for next season. Desmond Ritter isn't here to save Antonio Pearson, Tom Telesco, and Luke Getsy's job. He's simply going to be on this team to just give them a fighting chance in case he's needed to go out there, because the emergency quarterback for the Raiders this week, I guess last week against the Rams, would have been Tyreek McAllister. That's who the emergency quarterback would have been when Aiden O'Connell went down. And what's crazy is I think Antonio Pierce actually thought about putting Tyreek McAllister in at quarterback over Gardner Minshew. That's how bad Gardner Minshew's been. Gardner Minshew on a 17-game pace. I know you love these stats. 17-game pace.
My favorite.
Is right now on pace to have 31 turnovers this season. That's tough to do. 31 turnovers in one season, that's not an easy feat at all. And he's even not played all the games.
That's like that one video you were telling me about, that one Guinness World Record that you
yeah,
that
the Guinness.
I don't know which one's more impressive.
Honestly, probably that. Probably that one, because that's at least a record They gave Ritter number 10, correct? Yes, not sure if I like it. If I was the Raiders, I probably would have given Desmond Ritter number 10 too, because you know Mark Davis, he's trying to save some money. He's got a lot of 10 jerseys locked up in his closet. You just take those out, you take the back of Garoppolo off, you slap a Ritter on there, and you're ready to rock. Patrick B., at the draft, after the quarterback in round 1, if an offensive lineman is next, do you have any prospects? Patrick B., no, not quite. I'll do a little bit more homework on offensive line prospects, but to me, I'm always a big, best player available. I want the Raiders to go QB. I want the Raiders to go offensive line.
Left tackle, the cat from Texas, Kelvin Banks, really good.
He's going to go in round 1, I think, though. Nick Sanchez, I know we hate Getsy, but what are the odds that Getsy and Ritter are a secret duo that's just insane together? What are the odds? I would say this. The odds are if you pick up a Rubik's Cube right now and you get that Rubik's Cube correct on your very first try, that is the likelihood of Ritter and Getsy being a secret duo that goes insane together.
Joke's on you.
I'm going to hold out hope. Nick Sanchez just done. And if that's the case, Nick, I hope that that's the truth, right? But
so you're telling me there's a chance.
There's always a chance. And that's the point. You got to at least try something. Now, man, I keep all my jokes in a database, for example. I mean, right now, you're getting your own lanyard, as far as I'm concerned. Ryan Campbell, what's up, Soup Daddy? Dad joke. Why couldn't the toilet paper cross the road? Because it was stuck in a crack. I'm not going to lie, when I first looked at that, I thought that R and an A were an O. That almost came out a little bit differently. It almost did. James Guevara, what do you call a Frenchman in sandals?
Philippe Philop.
Philippe Philop. James Guevara. I'm going to say this right now. I think James Guevara's got the lead. I think Guevara's got the lead. Chauzzers, what do you call a man with no body and no nose?
Nobody knows.
That's pretty good. I'm still going to give it to James Guevara. Chauzzers, that's an elite one, though. Let's go to my man, Blinky. What's up, Blinky? Oh, wow. It's just now all dad jokes, apparently, is all we're going to do here. We got 900 people here watching the Raiders Report. If you haven't already, make sure you click that like button.
I don't know why it's so spread out. I can read it over here. We're driving, and I see a bunch of cows. I always say, look, a flock of cows. One of the kids says, herd of cows. Dad, I say, of course I've heard of them. There's a flock of them right over there.
I think that, I mean.
That one's pretty good.
I think I'm going to go with that one. I think that's a great dad joke. Look, a flock of cows. One kid says, herd of cows,
God.
Dad.
If you haven't already, we're doing a Desmond Ritter duck race at the end of today's show. We're about to get into the first segment here in just a moment.
That's
$20.
elite.
The winner gets half the pot. The loser gets an exclusive Desmond Ritter Raiders jersey.
I mean, what more could you possibly want? Right now, it's 20 to win $30. So how about this? The next two people that get in, I'm going to give you an extra entry for free. Next two people that get in, I'm going to give you an extra entry for free. Daniel, do you think we could have picked up Josh Dobbs? Maybe, but I don't really know why. I like the idea more of Desmond Ritter compared to Dobbs, which I know that some people were looking at Dobbs. Dobbs was a name that I even brought up on my video that I put out probably about 2 weeks ago. But to me, they went with somebody that historically was a very good leader at Cincinnati and also very, very good friends with Trey Tucker. Let's go to Jersey Boy Greaser. What's Forrest Gump's password? 1, Forrest, 1. That one I know. That's a dad joke that I got locked in the chamber. If anybody right now, if I was on a game show and somebody said, give me a dad joke, that's probably one of the first ones that would come to my mind.
Yep.
1, Forrest, 1. Coming up here on today's show, is it Desmond Ritter time for the Las Vegas Raiders? I got my answer coming up here on today's episode. Then we're going to get into some Raiders rumors. We're going to talk about Gardner Minshew. Let's talk about Brock Bowers. And then I'm just going to get a little hot and spicy with one of the Raiders' offensive linemen. I'm just being honest from the jump. Then let's get into some of the players that I think are on the trade block or players that have been brought up in trade rumors. I'm going to tell you whether or not the Raiders should keep them or the Raiders should sell them. We got a hell of a show on tap. Chuggs, ready to get this thing going? Nation, are you ready to get this thing going? A reminder, the next 2 people that get in for the duck race, I am going to give you an extra raffle entry for free at Mitchell Renz 365. Let's now discuss whether or not...
I'm not doing it.
You're not what?
I'm not pressing the button until we get 300 likes. I'm not doing it.
You look like Gardner Minshew right now.
I'm not doing it.
You're acting like Gardner Minshew right now.
Until we get to 300 likes, I'm not pressing this button.
Now you're just turning that into Devontae.
16 likes away.
All right, Devontae, relax.
I have all day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Actually, let's see if he sits here all day. I'm going to head out. Let's see if he sits just like this all day.
I can do it.
Yeah?
I can do it.
I'm sure. Well, we just got there. Coming up, is it Ritter time? If you want the Las Vegas Raiders to start Desmond Ritter this week against the Kansas City Chiefs, I want you to hit that like button right now. Coming up here on the Raiders Report, I'm going to tell you this. If the Las Vegas Raiders do not start Desmond Ritter, then Antonio Pierce is trying to tank. I said it. I'm not afraid to say it. I know AP said that he doesn't want to tank, but guess what? I'm going to tell you why if I'm the Raiders, I'm rolling with number 10. I'm rolling with Desmond Ritter, and it's simply because what else do we have to lose? That's why I'm rolling with Desmond Ritter, and a lot of y'all are going to be like, Mitch, is he even going to be playing in this game? He is one of the active QBs on the roster. The Silver and Black move Aiden O'Connell to IR literally just a few minutes ago, and he's going to be out at least 4 games. Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ritter are the only quarterbacks on the active roster, with Carter Bradley still on the practice squad. To me personally, and I know there's some people out there that want the Raiders to start Carter Bradley over Minshew, over Desmond Ritter, but I believe this. If the Raiders would have moved Bradley up on the active roster the same day that they dropped Aiden O'Connell on the IR, then there would have been at least a little bit of a possibility. Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco, the move that they did on Tuesday tells me, and I think it should tell the entire nation out there, that this quarterback battle is going to be between Gardner Minshew and it's going to be between Desmond Ritter. And the fact that the Arizona Cardinals played on Monday Night Football last night, and the fact that Ritter did not show up to the game, he flew to Las Vegas, he landed in Vegas last night, tells me again that they're at least putting in the motion of getting him there as early as humanly possible, getting him in the building today, and getting him acclimated with the Luke Getsy offense going up, preparing against the Chiefs. So here's why you start Ritter, and the first reason is this. It can't be worse than Gardner Minshew, which probably isn't a great reason to start any player, but at the end of the day, we also got to be like, if we're trying to put the best team out there on the field, right now Gardner Minshew simply cannot play quarterback, I think, for Luke Getsy or for the Las Vegas Raiders. His stats, as it stands right now, 1,168 yards, 4 touchdowns, 11 turnovers, that's 8 interceptions, that's 3 fumbles. 2 of those turnovers have turned into touchdowns for the opposing team, and I don't even want to know how many points that opposing defenses have scored off of Gardner Minshew. But this is a game that I love to play, and Chuggs rolls his eyes every time that I do it. But, I think sometimes people don't understand how bad a quarterback has been unless you see stats from a full 17-game sample size. If Minshew were to continue to do what he's doing right now, his 17-game sample size is 11 touchdowns and 32 turnovers. You're not going to win in the National Football League. You're not going to win in college football. You're not going to win in high school football. You're not going to win in Pee Wee football, Madden. I don't care what it is. You're not going to win when your quarterback is putting up those type of numbers. But Mitch, Ritter also turns the ball over a lot. You're not wrong. But guess what? We're here at this point in the Raiders season, and I'm at the point where you just got to try something a little bit different. Desmond Ritter last year, 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He also had 12 fumbles on top of that, right? I know that the offense last year around Arthur Smith with Ritter did not look very good. And maybe Ritter was a bad fit in that. Maybe Ritter's going to be a bad fit in the Luke Getsy offense. I don't know what to tell you, but I know this. It's Chiefs week, and I want every single person to show up ready to go. Why? Because that's what the nation needs to do. I'm not saying that you got to go to Allegiant Stadium. All I'm saying is if you bleed silver and black, hit that subscribe button, and if you are already subbed to the #1 most watched Raiders channel in the world, Spam FKC down below because Desmond Ritter, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, Desmond Ritter has me excited to watch the Raiders this weekend. Why? Because I just don't want to watch Gardner Minshew try to play quarterback anymore for the Silver and Black. Let's go to the next reason here. Minshew has zero confidence in himself. When you're the leader of a football team, you need to have confidence. And Chuggs, when we were live, kind of brought up a comparison of if you were ready to getting ready to go out to war, if you're getting ready to go out to battle, and your sergeant, your general, looks like he's getting ready to shit a brick, doesn't want to go out there and battle, you're going, I don't think we should go out there and battle right now. Gardner Minshew, when he steps on the field, when he gets in that huddle, is just oozing with no confidence whatsoever. And you saw it against the Rams. He looked like a guy that didn't want to be there. He looked like my dog Chuck when I yell at him for doing literally anything. I know that his nickname's the guard dog, but right now he kind of looks like a pussycat doll. 154 yards, 0 touchdowns, 4 turnovers last week against the Los Angeles Rams. And since the Patrick Surtain pick 6, quite frankly, I think this play broke Minshew. Minshew, to me, was one of the quarterbacks that I think has always had thick skin, has always shown you that he can battle through a lot of different things. But I'm telling y'all right now, Luke Getsy has broken Gardner Minshew. And the play that you see on the field right now from Minshew, it's bad, and he even himself knows it. I mean, this is what he said after the Week 7 loss against the Rams. I have never turned the ball over like this in my life, so it's very frustrating. And I can see how frustrated Gardner Minshew is. And I'm not going to sit up here and go that it's only on Minshew's shoulders. That's not true at all. Getsy deserves blame. AP deserves blame. When you are coaches, you need to be able to put the best position, the best players in that situation. Tom Telesco, he deserves blame as well. Gardner Minshew at this point has lost confidence in himself. The Raiders have lost confidence in Gardner Minshew. That's why the Raiders went out and got Desmond Ritter. But if you're looking for a quarterback that might not have the athletic ability, that might not be able to save your season, what am I going to look for in a quarterback? Somebody that is a leader of men. Somebody that can be something where when times get tough, somebody's looking at him. Because right now when times get tough for the Raiders, everyone's looking around. There's no answers. We need a leader. We need an identity. And that's one of the things that Desmond Ritter, I do believe, will be able to bring to this table here. This is something that an AFC team scout said before Ritter ended up getting drafted. He's a humble leader who leads by example, and football is important to him. You will never have to worry about whether he's working on his game to get better. If I'm the Las Vegas Raiders, I need a leader. If I'm Antonio Pierce, I need a leader in that locker room. And I also need a player that didn't cost me anything in terms of draft capital, isn't going to cost me a lot in salary cap space, because even though we signed a quarterback to compete this season, let's be real, it's Desmond Ritter. You still need to be able to plan for the future. So what are the Raiders doing? They're showing you that we're not going to just tuck it between our legs this season, but we also know the biggest goal, 2025, and we're going to make sure that we got everything possible to make sure that we're setting ourselves right for 2025, but we're also not going to quit this year, and you can't blame Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco, Luke Getsy for wanting to quit. Why? Because if they go out there and they don't win another game and they do tank, they're not going to have jobs next season. I can't get mad at the guy for trying to defend his job. Let's go to another reason here of why it's time for Ritter to start. His legs will open up the ground game. And I'm not saying that he's a super athletic quarterback that's going to run the football a lot. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm simply saying Gardner was afraid to run. Aiden has literally never attempted a rushing attempt in his entire NFL career, and we see it time and time again. When you have a quarterback that has at least a threat to run, that opens up your running game. And Desmond Ritter last season had 53 carries, 193 yards, 5 rushing touchdowns, and 18 first downs with his legs. It's not going to be easy for the Raiders to move the football. So if you are in some of these third and long situations, it would help to have a quarterback that can at least tuck it and run, that can at least pick up a first down, that can at least extend drives with his legs. It's going to help out Alexander Mattison. It's going to help out Zamir White. It's going to help out the offensive line. And if you're Luke Getsy, why not take a quarterback that maybe is a similar playbook to one that you've ran before? Coming up, I'm going to tell you what playbook that the Raiders need to run this week against Kansas City if they decide to start Desmond Ritter after signing him and giving him number 10, baby. Before I get into that, though, huge shout out to our sponsor, PrizePicks. And I'll be curious to see if PrizePicks has something for Desmond Ritter, or maybe if they end up putting something in there, little passing yards, little rushing yards. Ooh, don't tempt me, PrizePicks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Make sure that you use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big-time payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, and Georgia, and Texas. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup alive. And since I'm making this on Tuesday, the NBA is getting back here. Last time I checked, it was like Anthony Edwards was 0.5 points. That was one that I ended up doing yesterday or 2 days ago. I ended up having it for all my lineups this entire week. Shohei Ohtani home runs. More or less on that. Like, we got MLB, we got football, and basketball is back. This is a great, great time to get started with PrizePicks, so that link is going to be available to everybody watching this show right now. Down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Huge shout out to PrizePicks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Let's go to the playbook that I'm going to run here. If I'm going to go with a playbook, I'm going to go with the Tyson Bagent playbook. And Bagent and Ritter, I'm not saying are the exact same quarterback, but Desmond Ritter is a lot closer to Tyson Bagent than he is Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, or Justin Fields. So if I know that I got to ramp up Ritter in a short week to get him ready to go up against the 2-time defending Super Bowl champs, I'm going to go with a playbook that I know as an offensive coordinator for Luke Getsy that's also easy to digest from a D2 player. And I'm not saying Bagent didn't have to deal with complex stuff in D2, and I'm not saying that he's a dumb player. But I do know a lot of coaches, when Justin Fields went down last season and then they had to put in Tyson Bagent, they went with a much more simpler offense is how I would show it, and it looked pretty damn good up against the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 5. That's the type of offense that I would try to run because of the quick turnaround. I understand that Bagent, maybe from a number standpoint, didn't put up electric numbers by any stretch. 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. But again, I'm looking at the player, and based off of the players that Luke Getsy has coached in his NFL career, I am going to say this is the quarterback that I think is a little bit closest to him. Some people have given the example of a quarterback like Mariota. I don't think Ritter is the athlete that Mariota was, but I also think Ritter was a better passer than what Marcus ever was. Tyson Bagent set up a blueprint for the way that the Raiders should try to run the offense this week. After that, then you can go to a different playbook. You can install some of the stuff that you've been doing. But again, why the hell not try something? Because it's not like Luke Getsy's been doing all that great. Can the Raiders get a little Andy Dalton magic? Mitch, what the hell are you talking about? Andy Dalton played against the Raiders, and I mean mollywopped the silver and black. This guy looked like the red rifle that you saw back at TCU when he threw for 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. On top of that, well, I don't know if I should say on top of that. He hasn't looked good since the game against the Raiders, so maybe it was just the Raiders being bad and being badly coached and not prepared. But I also know that sometimes all it takes is a little bit of a switch, and it's not just the quarterback position. It can fire up an entire team. And when you watch the Carolina Panthers play against the Raiders back in Week 3, that entire team was so fired up to finally have a quarterback under center that they thought gave them a chance. It bled off into the offense. It helped out the offensive line, helped out the defense from top to bottom. And just because of how poorly Minshew has played, because of the turnovers Minshew has created, I literally think just having Desmond Ritter out there and Raiders players going, well, at least we're not going to turn the ball over 3 to 4 times today. That's going to be a little bit of a sigh of relief. That's also going to let you breathe a little bit because this defense, this team right now, their buttholes are this freaking tight because they know that they can't afford to make any mistakes. When you have a quarterback like Minshew that's turning the ball over as much as he has, you got to play perfect football. I don't know if you've watched the Raiders recently this year. They are so far from perfect, it's not even funny, which is maybe why if we start Ritter, we get a little Andy Dalton magic. Coming up, though, my final reason why Ritter should start. And whether you like Desmond Ritter this season, if you're somebody where you're going, Mitch, Doesn't matter. All I care about is 2025. All I care about is the Raiders next season. Then this one down here is specifically for you. But before we get into that, we were talking about the World Series. Shout out to our sponsor again here, PrizePicks. Who you got? Are you going to go with the Dodgers, type D? Or are you going to go with the Yankees? The Doyers or the Yankees is what I believe Alex's mom would say. I know that the Dodgers beat the Mets. And for those that don't know, I got to wear a Mookie Betts and Dodgers hat on Thursday when we go live, which Justin Abgen just came in here to rub it in my face a little bit more. Giggity. But there's no way I'm taking the Yankees. Give me the Dodgers to win the World Series here. But seriously, make sure you're tuned in to Thursday Night Football. It's the Minnesota Vikings on the road up against the Los Angeles Rams. Will Cooper Kupp be in that game? Only time will tell. We will be live. I have a lot of fun on Thursday night. Chuggs and I, we get down, we get a little bit crazy. And quite frankly, I think it's the shows that people enjoy the most now because, let's face it, game days are a little bit less fun this season. So make sure you pull up, make sure you subscribe on Thursday Night Football, where we get a little bit wet and wild. And if you're a Dodgers fan and you want to make fun of this Mets fan, I'm a good sport. Maybe I won't be. Maybe I will be. Let's go to the final reason here. It's you got to evaluate Luke Getsy as many possible ways as you can. I've sat up here so many times and I said it's time to fire Luke Getsy. I don't think Luke Getsy was a good hire. I don't think Luke Getsy's ever been a good offensive coordinator. I can't believe that the Raiders even hired a guy that's been as bad as what he's been. But if I'm going to paint a picture of, all right, the Raiders are going to keep Luke Getsy the entire season, that way AP as a fall guy in case the offense doesn't get it going, well, let's evaluate Getsy as many ways as we possibly can. If Luke Getsy is really bad with Gardner Minshew, and Gardner Minshew looks like the worst quarterback or in the NFL / Gardner Minshew looks like he's never been worse in his entire career with Luke Getsy, maybe it's a Luke Getsy problem. Aiden O'Connell. Aiden, I thought, played better as a rookie last season. I thought Aiden looked better with Josh McDaniels' offense than he has in this Luke Getsy offense, okay? And then if Ritter goes out there and he's also just like way worse than what he's been his entire career, I hope that if it's not the millions of Raiders fans saying Luke Getsy sucks, fire this clown, if that's not going to do it, maybe AP and Telesco will finally grow some stones when they go, all right, I've never seen Gardner Minshew play this bad in my entire life, because if I'm Telesco, I'm going, wait a minute, why is Minshew playing so bad? I'm the one that wanted Gardner Minshew for 2 years, $25 million. I'm the one that hired Luke Getsy. I'm the one that wanted to put this offensive staff together. But you know, Telesco, you know, these GMs, these coaches, they're going to go, that's not my fault. It's going to be that guy's fault. If you're bad with Minshew, you're bad with Aiden, you're bad with Ritter. I understand that those quarterbacks are not franchise quarterbacks. But if Minshew looks the worst that he's ever looked, if Ritter looks the worst that he's ever looked, and if Aiden looks the worst that he's ever looked, and if this Raiders offense looks worse than what it did last year with Josh McDaniels, maybe it's a Luke Getsy problem. That's why you start Desmond Ritter. We have to evaluate Luke Getsy. I've already done enough evaluation. I'm firing his ass tomorrow. But for AP for this Raiders team, there you go. That's why you start Desmond Ritter. Because if you are trying to plan for next season, even if you're not trying to plan for next season, you need to honestly look yourself in the mirror and go, we're a 2-5 football team. A 2-5 football team that doesn't look like we got anything going for us this season. So with that being said, why don't we plan for the future a little bit? Evaluate Luke Getsy, see what you got in him, because here's the thing. It can't be any worse than Luke Getsy and Gardner Minshew. At the end of the day, that's why I want to start Desmond Ritter. Confidence level in Ritter, start it for me, 1 to 10. 1, you're not confident at all. 10. He's going to go out there and beat the Chiefs.
We were talking about PrizePicks and talking about, you know, the World Series. NBA starts tonight as well.
Can't wait.
And I know there's some people in here that are looking for a certain someone on a certain Celtics channel. She is here.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
looking at me. She is rocking her knee up and down right now. And she's ready to party tonight. So if you want to party tonight, if you are an NBA fan,
she actually had to move away from Marshall, who runs our Knicks show.
I cannot stand Marshall Green. I'm going to be very honest. He is running his mouth to the champs, to the defending champs, which is honestly worse. So tonight, we will be live, taking down Marshall and the New York Knicks. So if you want to come hang out with us.
Spam salami.
And we'll be live at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Eastern Time. Or 5:30 Central. Or 3:30 Western. Is that Western?
Pacific.
What is it called? Pacific. Pacific.
That's fine.
Anyways.
Mountain Time also, if you want that.
And Mountain Time.
If y'all are trying to party tonight, foot's down to party.
Salami do be partying.
I'm excited to have a little bit of basketball back.
All of a sudden, you might get a shit ton of money.
Little bit of basketball time here.
Drinks will be had. Hoops will be made.
Yeah, it won't show up. Ed Robbins, I know he'll be there. Celtic Raider, I know he'll be there. If you plan on going supporting Allie Barefoot, I want to see some salamis down below. I want to see some salamis down below. Yoda Jenkins said, I'll be there. A lot of people are saying Warriors, Lakers.
Hoops will be had.
Warriors and Lakers.
Rebel said, go Knicks.
Let's
Rebel's going to be over there with Marshall Green.
I don't doubt it.
Who are y'all going for, the Knicks or the Celtics? Mitch? Who are you going for?
Oh, God. A good game. How about that? I'm going to go for a good game.
Let's go Rockets.
I'm going to go for a good game.
Go Rockets.
I'm probably going to root for the Knicks. I'm not going to lie.
Giuseppe said Thunder this year. That's a good pick. The Thunder are going to be a good team. At least that's what the people who are ball knowers in here are telling me.
Is that what they're telling you?
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of ball knowers, we got a few ball knowers that got in this duck race here.
I didn't know where you were going.
No, there's a lot of ways that I could have gone with speaking of the ball knowers here. Got a few people that are in the duck race. First name, reminder, I said the next 2 people that get in, you're getting an extra free duck on me. Philip Bogert, you sir, get a free duck.
Uh-huh.
And then also, I got my man, speaking of the devil, Ed Robbins. You, sir, get a free duck. Which that means, as it stands right now, Trent Hamada, you in. 93 Nabman, you in. Gilbert Marino, you in. And then James Guevara, also in. $20 Venmo right now for a chance to win $110. Also, whoever comes in last place, you guys get a Desmond Ritter jersey.
Juicy J, what is white, black, silver, and yellow all over? Luke Getzey fighting a pigeon in McDonald's parking lot for a french fry.
It's creative. I'll tell you this right now, Josie J, that's an A+ for creativity.
Does it beat Blinkies?
I don't think it does. Blinkies made me laugh harder because now maybe I could tell this joke. I don't know how many people will get it outside of Raiders fans, but I'll tell you this right now, that's a hell of a joke right there. The Golden Bachelor dad joke. You got it.
Why did the unsuccessful farmer go into the music industry? Because he had a ton of sick beats. Did I win?
You didn't win, but
joke.
It's very good, Steve L.
Good joke.
This is how I know, Steve, that you're over the age of 55. You're making sick beats jokes. Let's go to Jeff. Oh, my God.
A bear walks into a bar and says to the bartender, give me a Jack and Coke. The bartender says, why the pause? The bear says, I was born with them.
It's pretty good. I thought that joke was going to be like a Jack and a Coke, like somebody by the name of Jack because he's a bear and he's going to eat him, and Coke. And it took a different turn.
Why the pause? Bear says, I was born with them.
I was born with him. I got him.
I think that's in contention.
In contention? Okay. Hey, you can. I thought the other one was still better.
Yeah, okay. It was close, and if I'm on the fence and you're saying the other one's better, we'll go with the other one. Jeff, I'm going to steal that joke. That's a good joke.
Luis, Terrace Marshall, any good? Wide receiver from the Panthers.
He was a former early pick in the draft.
Second round pick, 59 overall. Played on some of those great LSU offenses, which is, I think, one of the reasons why maybe he got drafted a little bit higher. Good athlete. And I said this on the video that I put out about an hour ago on Marshall, which was like, I think it's a low risk, potentially high reward type of player, because would it surprise anybody if Marshall is decent and just the Carolina Panthers are a shit show organization? Because, that's where he was at. He was in Carolina, a part of a really bad organization.
Look at Sam Darnold.
Hey, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield was working as
Sam Darnold's so good he could be traded for Matt Stafford.
The Panthers had Baker Mayfield working as a defensive end on their practice squad.
He's that good.
The Panthers are a bad organization right now. Let's go to Guts. Minshew and Mahomes have the same amount of interceptions. One is being benched. The other is an MVP candidate. Make it make sense. Do you want me to tell you? Because it's actually very simple.
Not all interceptions are created equal. There's a difference between playing amazing and trying to fit in a ball and getting an interception and then making a boneheaded play.
There's also a big difference between one guy 6-0, and it's they're the only undefeated team left in the NFL. I mean, that's what it's about. I'll admit the Chiefs' offense hasn't played all that great. They're winning games because of their defense, and that's the God-honest truth. That defense is legit. But then also, I don't know if there's another quarterback in the National Football League that can lose both of his top 2 wide receivers, and you can say what you want about Travis Kelce. Kelce has lost many steps. He's not the best tight end in the NFL anymore, and that's very, very clear. And the reason why I hear you, he's thrown a lot of interceptions, Mahomes has, but I think that's also the kind of brand of football Kansas City wants Mahomes to play, where it's high risk, high reward, move the ball down the field.
Also,
but when you lose the amount of targets, talent that Kansas City has, and you're still undefeated, I mean, that's the Mahomes
It's the
factor.
Chiefs. It's
the
Patrick
Chiefs.
Mahomes. It's Andy Reid. They're going to get sucked off by the media.
I mean, that's the other thing, right? When you're back-to-back Super Bowl champs, I don't think he ends up winning the MVP. I don't think that he is top 3. To me, if I was an MVP vote, right now I would say Lamar Jackson has to be in that conversation. Jared Goff has to be in that conversation.
I really do think, non-biased, I think Jared Goff should be the MVP right now. He should be in first place.
The only reason why I would agree with you on that is because is Lamar Jackson the most important player on offense for the Ravens? I think he is. I think people would debate, though, maybe Derrick Henry is more important than Lamar Jackson. I don't agree with it, but I think everybody says Jared Goff.
As a former big guy, a former offensive lineman in high school,
yep,
I can appreciate and respect the Lions and what they're doing because they truly built from the inside out. They drafted good on the offensive line. They got Penei Sewell. They have Decker. They have some good O-linemen in there. They went and got defensive linemen. I know he got hurt, but Aiden Hutchinson. They made sure they're going to win at the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
And then they got a guy who may not be the most talented, but behind a good offensive line, guys like Jared Goff can thrive. Guys like Sam Darnold behind a good offensive line like they have with Minnesota.
When you have a good running game and your offensive line blocks that way, it's amazing what it can do.
And I don't want it to be we got a ton of hate with the AOC and with all that stuff. But behind an offensive line like this, you can't have a quarterback like that. Maybe, and I don't think that he's even close to Jared Goff in terms of talent. Jared Goff, first overall pick for a reason. He's a fantastic player. But maybe with the Rams, Aiden O'Connell could be a good quarterback to okay. I think best case scenario.
Sean McVay, maybe.
I think best case scenario, Aiden O'Connell can be the 14th best quarterback in the NFL. Best case scenario, with everything working right at all levels.
See, I can't go that far. I would say if Aiden hits his peak in the NFL, he's probably somewhere around.
That is with everything being perfect. You have really good running backs. You have a ton of weapons at the receiver position, and you have an amazing O-line.
I think that's.
But
still
even
a little bit
even then, I'm saying he's not an MVP candidate.
No, he's of course not. I think it's one of those situations where Aiden's going to need a lot around him, but I still think this, unless Desmond Ritter goes out there and wins, he's got to win 2 games. If not, it's Aiden's job when he comes back.
Early riser, we have seen enough of AOC. He's not the guy if you're trying to revitalize Las Vegas. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Mo, what's up, man? What is good? Is Ritter with Getsy still calling the plays? Let's go Dodgers and let's go Lakers. I want to be excited about Desmond Ritter, but it is really hard to be excited about anything on offense when you know Luke Getsy is still your offensive coordinator. Let's go to James Guevara, and yes, he is still calling plays.
Who won the neck decorating contest? It was a tie.
I'm going to have to bow down to that one. But Oh, man, oh, man. We got 2 more segments coming up here on this show. The next one coming up here is let's get into some Raiders rumors. We're going to talk about Gardner Minshew. I'm going to talk about Brock Bowers. And I'm going to bring up a offensive lineman on the Raiders that, quite frankly, I think it's time for a change at the offensive line. I think it's time for a change at the offensive line. So we got 912 people you're watching. If you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button. Believe it or not, it does help us out a lot. And if you haven't hit the like button yet, we got 900 people here, and half of those people have clicked the like button. Let's get those like numbers up here a little bit. It's Chiefs week. We got to bring it. Thursday Night Football, I laugh really hard at that. For the record, I laugh very hard at that on Thursday Night Football.
Michael.
I'll also admit that's my type of humor. I love dark comedy. I'm being told that I can't laugh, though. What do you call guacamole in your toes?
Avocados.
Not bad. Alex is going to love that one. Because she loves avocados, obviously. No?
That's not why she like it?
She loves avocados.
I thought maybe she has a foot fetish.
Nope.
She's talking to Allie all the time.
Salami.
Salami.
Salami. All right. Let's get into the segment coming up here on the show. Also, if anybody's asking, Steve L., you're the last one that got in the duck race. $20 Venmo right now. You'd go home with $120 here on the Raiders Report. Coming up, let's talk about some juicy rumors that
let's give them something to talk about.
I'll say at least are circulating around the NFL at least a little bit. I've seen it being brought up. I'm also going to bring up a few things that I think deserve to be discussed amongst the nation. Appreciate everyone that always tunes into here, a live show on Tuesday. If you're like, Mitch, you always go live on Tuesday? I do. 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, live here on the Raiders Report. You ready? Chuggs says he's ready to go, which means in 3, 2, 1, let's get this thing popping. Coming up today here on the Raiders Report, I got some juicy trade rumors around Gardner Minshew because is he done in Las Vegas? On top of that, some must-see rumors around Brock Bowers. Where does he rank amongst all NFL tight ends right now? And then it's time for Andre James to be. I'll let you know what it's time for Andre James to be here in a little bit. Let's talk about Gardner Minshew, though. Is Minshew done in Las Vegas? When I say this, I mean he's never going to start another football game for the Silver and Black. I'm going to give this one 3 just win babies, and I'm going to say that it's pretty likely. I can't say that it's 4 just win babies. I can't say that it is a lock to happen because there is still a chance that Minshew starts this week against the Kansas City Chiefs due to a short week with Desmond Ritter. But then again, you do never quite know. I know how bad Minshew has struggled this season, and he knows how bad he has struggled this season. I think that it's a little bit of a combination of Luke Getsy, Gardner Minshew, and not a lot of talent on the offensive line, not a lot of talent overall from a skill position standpoint. But the reason why that I believe that there's at least a 75% chance that he's never going to play quarterback ever again for the Las Vegas Raiders because this team did just go out and sign Desmond Ritter. But not only did they sign Ritter, they signed him to the active roster because he was on the Arizona Cardinals practice squad, which means he's on this roster right now. It is him. It is Gardner Minshew. The other reason is Aiden O'Connell's going to be back in 4 to 6 weeks. Right now he's on the short-term IR. So if you're the Raiders and you were confident in Minshew or you were confident in Carter Bradley, you would have never made the move for Desmond Ritter because you would have said, let's just roll with Gardner Minshew for basically 3 games because we got to bye, and then when Aiden O'Connell comes back, we'll hand the keys to him. They didn't do that, and they didn't do that because we got to be able to face the facts. Minshew has been the worst version of himself that, quite frankly, I have ever seen. He's got a 54.6 completion percentage in his last 3 games, 421 yards in 3 games, 1 touchdown, 6 turnovers, and 2 of his 6 turnovers were defensive touchdowns. 1 was a pick 6 by Patrick Surtain. The other was a scoop and score. The amount of points, the amount of holes, the reason why the Raiders are dead last in overall turnovers and dead last in turnover differential is because of Gardner Minshew. And this is a football team that we have to face it, needs to be able to take care of the football or else you're not going to win any games. The Raiders going out and signing Desmond Ritter is AP and Telesco saying, I know that we got big goals for 2025, but I don't want to tank this season, but I'm also not just going to roll over and play dead. Here's the pinned comment on today's show. This is the number one question that I want the entire nation to answer. You got to pick one to start this week. Gardner Minshew or Desmond Ritter? Let me know your answer down below. If it's up to me, I'm rolling with the doctor. I'm rolling with number 10. I'm rolling with Desmond Ritter. And it's not that I'm going to sit up here and go, Desmond Ritter is a great quarterback. I don't think that at all. Quite frankly, I think if anybody actually watched my draft coverage back in 2022, before Ritter ever got drafted out of Cincinnati, I was up here saying, I don't want the Raiders to draft Ritter. I don't think Ritter's going to be a very good quarterback in the NFL. I don't think Ritter's a very good QB right now. But what do we have to lose? Somebody said, why the pause? I know, I'm not a bear. Let's go talk about, though, if I'm going to say that it's time to start a guy like Desmond Ritter, then what exactly is Gardner Minshew going to do here for this team? To me, you got to think about potentially trading him. And I'm not saying that there's a 3 just win babies chance of the Raiders trading him. I'm saying that I'm at least trying to trade Gardner Minshew. The reason is the NFL trade deadline is November 5th. It's coming up. You got the Chiefs game. You got the Bengals game. You got only 2 games to be able to move on from Minshew. And when you look at his contract, for the Raiders, it makes it a lot more difficult to trade Minshew next season than it does this season. And whatever team ends up making the deal for Minshew, it would only cost them $324,000 per game. Minshew this season for the Raiders, from a base salary standpoint, is at $5.6 million. So the team would take on $5.6 million, but since we've already played some games this season, divided by 18, that's how you get that number there. Minshew's cap hit, though, next season is $14 million. I hate to break it to you. If we go into the offseason and Minshew is the last time we see him play and Minshew is on this Raiders team, are you going to want to pay him $14 million? The answer to that is hell no. But the Raiders, if you cut Gardner Minshew during the offseason, you actually eat more money in 2025 offseason compared to if you trade him right now. And even if you trade him for a 7th round pick in the 2026 NFL draft, you got to try. I'm not saying that there's going to be a team out there that's willing to do it. But if we are trying to plan for the future, and if we are trying to plan for 2025, it does actually help out the Raiders more to trade him this season before the NFL trade deadline than it does in the offseason, because nobody's going to trade for $14 million, which means the Raiders will have to end up cutting him, or you're going to pay a quarterback $14 million like Gardner Minshew to be your backup. So with me saying that, to me, there are 2 teams right now that I could see potentially giving the Raiders a 7th round pick in the 2026 NFL draft. The first team is the Miami Dolphins. I know that Tua Tagovailoa is back, but if you're the Dolphins, you're sitting there going, our offense was horrific without Tua. They had all these different, they had Snoop Huntley, they had Skylar Thompson, bunch of no-name quarterbacks that quite frankly are not very good. So if you're the Dolphins, I would try to find a different backup quarterback in case Tua goes down again, because I don't want to say it, but there is a chance that Tua goes down again, especially because he's not going to wear a Guardian cap. I wish that he would. But then also on top of that, like, they're still kind of in the mix to potentially make the playoffs. And whether, I know Gardner's been bad here, but Gardner hasn't been bad at a lot of other destinations. And then I'm also going to throw in the Indianapolis Colts. Not necessarily that they need, because they have Flacco, they have Anthony Richardson, but Shane Steichen does have a good relationship with Gardner Minshew. And then the other team is, if a team loses a QB, if any other team in the NFL, week 8 or week 9, ends up losing a quarterback, they will get inserted here as potential landing spots for Gardner Minshew if he's traded. Let's go to Brock Bowers here. I said earlier this year that Bowers is a top 10 tight end. Then I said that he's the best rookie tight end in the NFL. I've compared Brock Bowers to George Kittle before. Is Brock Bowers not the best rookie tight end? Is Bowers the best tight end in the National Football League? Better than Travis Kelce, better than Mark Andrews, better than George Kittle? I'm going to give you my answer coming up here in just a moment. But first, it's PrizePicks time. This is the best time of the year if you want to get started with PrizePicks. I'm talking NBA action, NFL action. We're talking about college football. We got the World Series. And if you're a sports fanatic like Jeremy Chuggs and I, then I need you to download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Heck, PrizePicks, run your game. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big-time payouts. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. Your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup alive. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including Cali, Florida, Georgia, and Texas, and you can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. So download the PrizePicks app today. Code CLNS. And right now, because we do not know who the starting quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders is going to be at the time that I am making this video, the only person that you can do more or less on for the silver and black is Brock Bowers. So 61.5 receiving yards for Brocktober. I'll tell you this, I'm going to go with the more every single time with Bowers because the only way that I've been able to win money on PrizePicks, and this is me being real with you, is when I go more on Bowers and less on everything else around the Las Vegas Raiders. And I'm a Raider fan at heart, and when I put money down on something, I still want to be able to enjoy my time. I'm never going to root for the Raiders to do bad. That's just never going to happen, which means probably one of the reasons why I lose some money on PrizePicks from time to time. But the amount of fun that I have using daily fantasy sports, the amount of fun that I have with PrizePicks, I think you guys would enjoy it too, which you can find those links in the comments and in the description of today's show. So let's go. Brock Bowers. Is Brock Bowers the best tight end in the National Football League as it stands right now as a rookie? Abso-flippin-lutely. For Just Win babies, believe it, baby. He really, truly is a special player. And a lot of people bring up the stats, and people are always like, oh, you can't just look at the stats, Mitch. I agree with that. Luckily for you, I got other metrics that are going to show you that he's the best tight end in the NFL. Because right now, as a rookie, and not only that, not only does Brock Bowers lead the NFL in targets at the tight end position, receptions at the tight end position, receiving yards at the tight end position, he's also doing it with how bad this offense is. He's doing it with the Luke Getsy offense, with the quarterback play that we've had. You know what the other crazy part is? He's also one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL. He's also the highest graded tight end according to PFF with an 88.3 overall grade. Bowers can beat you in so many different ways. He is that Swiss Army knife. He is a player that I was excited when the Raiders drafted Bowers because I knew how good he was, but I didn't expect him to be this good right away. He's lining up at tight end. He's lining up at wide receiver. He's lining up at fullback. Right now, he's the number one player you're concerned about when you go up against the Raiders, which maybe isn't saying a lot, but like, look at these 2024 stats and the fact that he's doing all this on an offense that is as bad as what this offense is. Because some people are going to be like, oh, well, Mitch, he's tied for 10th in receiving touchdowns. Imagine if Brock Bowers had himself a quarterback. Imagine if Bowers had himself an offensive coordinator. Imagine, just imagine. You know what? Speaking of an imagine, not only is Bowers the best tight end in the NFL right now, he is on pace to shatter every rookie tight end record out there that's not receiving touchdowns. Right now, on a 17-game pace for rookie tight ends, right now, Brock Bowers is on pace to have 145 targets. Sam Laporta currently holds the record for most targets by a tight end. Last season, he had 118. Bowers going to shatter it. Receptions. Right now, Bowers is on pace to have 114 receptions by a rookie tight end. Sam Laporta holds that record, on pace to shatter it by almost, 40 freaking catches, 30 catches, and then receiving yards. Brock Bowers and Mike Ditka. I hope that we get a different picture for Mike Ditka because that's not the best one that I've seen. But Bowers on pace to break that picture, that record. I don't know, man. Ditka looks like he's somebody who shouldn't be. I'm not even going to get into it. He looks like somebody that you specifically should hate. So here's the thing. Brock Bowers is having the greatest rookie tight end season of all time with this current Raiders offense. That's why Brock Bowers is the best tight end in the National Football League. So I want you to click the like button. If there's one person on this offense that deserves the nation to still rally behind, if there's one person that should give you hope for the offense going forward in the right direction, it's this guy right here. He was dominant in the SEC. He was the best player on arguably the best college football program from a 3-year sample size that I've seen in a while in the Georgia Bulldogs. He is a champion, but he's also a leader on this team, and I think he's right now the best tight end in the NFL, which means that he's better than Travis Kelce, and I can't wait to show him. I can't wait to see Brock Bowers show the entire world, to show the Chiefs kingdom, to show all the Chiefs fans out there, but to show the nation that I'm going to show up every day, and I'm better than Travis Kelce. Let's go to the final rumor here on today's show. Is it time to move on from Andre James? Yes, absolutely it is. This one to me is 4 just win babies. Believe it, baby. I'm not saying simply we just got to trade him. I'm saying I'm picking up the phone and I'm going to call teams like the Rams right now. They're picking up the phone. They're calling teams asking who's interested in Cooper Kupp. Guess what? If I'm the Raiders right now, I'm doing the exact same thing. And Chuggs just said, I bet you the Houston Texans would be interested. There's a lot of teams out there that I think would take a chance, a flyer on Andre James, just because I get it. He's having a bad year this season. But I think a lot of teams around the NFL go, well, I think the Raiders are just a really bad football team right now. But James, for 3 years leading up to this, got better and better and better and showed that even in his past, he can play guard, he can play center. And if you're unable to trade him, I'm putting his ass on the bench. I'm not benching him in week 8. I'm not benching him in week 9. Mitch, why wouldn't you do that? Because if you end up doing that, then you're going to really kill his trade value, which I'll say you're probably not going to get a lot for him. I'd say right now, if you could trade Andre James, you're probably getting a 6th, maybe 6th, probably a 7th round pick. But I will say he's the weakest link on this offensive line. And not only is he the weakest link on the offensive line, he's the center. He's a bad fit with James Craig. He's a bad fit in this current offense. And I was excited when the Raiders brought back James because I was hoping that we'd see the Andre James that we've seen over the past 3 years, a guy that's gotten better. But he looks like a dude that's a little bit unmotivated. Maybe he got paid. Maybe he's not putting in the same effort and time. But he is getting beat on a consistent basis time and time again. And, you know, a lot of times we point the finger at Minshew. You point the finger at Aiden O'Connell. You point the finger at Luke Getsy. But it's really hard to be a successful offense in the NFL when you got one of the worst centers in the league. And according to PFF and according to my eyeballs, Andre James is one of the worst centers in football right now. So what am I going to do? I would put James on the bench, and I'd say you got 2 options at center. Either you put the rookie Jackson Powers-Johnson at center to just see what he's potentially able to do. You drafted him in the 2nd round after all. Or you put Dylan Parham at center. And then if I'm going to put Parham at center, I'm just going to put JPJ at left guard. And then somebody goes, well, Mitch, what are you going to do at right guard? I'm so happy you asked. You got to keep starting Jordan Meredith. Jordan Meredith deserves to start for the Raiders right now. Meredith was, according to PFF, one of the highest graded players during the preseason, and right now he's one of the highest graded offensive linemen in all of the NFL. I know that it's a small sample size, but like when you turn on the tape and then when you see that a player's got an 87.6 overall grade, and when the tape and the grades match up according to PFF, it looks like Jordan Meredith actually likes being in this offense, that he's actually comfortable being in a James Craig offense. So I'm telling y'all right now, if you can't trade away Andre James, which his contract's not that difficult to move on from, and I'm taking draft capital. That's what I want, because I'm also trying to plan for the future. I would rather either start Dylan Parham or JPJ at center, and then whoever doesn't start at center, I put that person at left guard. I put Jordan Meredith at right guard. I don't want to bench Andre James and get nothing for him. But I will say that it's the biggest, weakest link we have right now on this offensive line. So because of that, you either trade him or you put him on the bench, but you can't bench him until after the NFL trade deadline. So one more time here, I believe that it's very likely, pretty likely, that Gardner Minshew doesn't play another snap for the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm trying to trade him. If I can't trade him, then he's probably just going to sit on the bench this season. And unfortunately, the Raiders are more than likely going to have to move on from him next offseason. Is Bowers the best tight end in the NFL? Yes, absolutely. Is it time to move on from Andre James? Try to trade him here over the next 2 weeks. If you're unable to try to trade him, then you bench him, and then you keep rolling with JPJ, Dylan Parham, Jordan Meredith there on the interior. Make the call, nation. Will Minshew start another game for the Silver and Black this season? S for start. W for won't. Put your money where your mouth is. What do we got?
Well, actually, don't do that in real life. Money's actually pretty dirty.
Yep. Rich of Life says Munford need his job back from Glaze. I thought DJ Glaze had a pretty solid game last week. I know there were some pretty costly turnovers, but
get glazed.
When you actually look at how well Glaze has played since he started over Munford, I think they're going to keep rolling with him. Like, if you're the Raiders, and we'll talk about trade candidates next year on the show, because I will talk a little bit about Thayer. He's not one of the players, but I will talk about him. I think you guys will see what I'm talking about here. Seeing Free Fly Jedi says won't. Mr. Ruiz, Miguel Gomez, Martin Gonzalez, Matt Fluhey. What up, Tevin Hill? All saying won't. Gilbert Marino says he will.
One more dad joke.
Right.
I'm bored. To whoever stole my copy of Microsoft Office, I will find you. You have my word.
That's pretty good.
Brett would piss his pants if we told him this joke.
Brett would figure out how to make a fourth. That's a great joke. I still like the other one more.
Blinky?
I still like Blinky. Though, here's the problem, Blinky. If you don't have Venmo, I don't know how I'm going to send this to you. Or you're going to have to follow Jeremy on Twitter and send him your shipping address. Because I have Steve L's information. I don't have Blinky's, though. Just saying.
I will find
Unless
you.
I just attach it to a pigeon and he knows where to go. Or she. Or she.
To Blinky.
What's up, man? Ko Segura says, what's wrong with Carter Bradley? He's on the practice squad. I mean, I think if the Raiders were serious about starting Carter Bradley, they would have put him on the active roster today. And the other reason why I'll say this is, like, when you have a young quarterback like Bradley, I don't think he's ever going to be anything special in the NFL, but you also don't want to ruin his confidence. And if you ruin a UDFA's confidence at this point of his career, he's probably going to be done. If putting Carter Bradley behind this offensive line with Luke Getsy is literally you just throwing him away as a quarterback prospect, which I don't know if the Raiders even want to do that because they want to have him on the practice squad next season. Is Patrick Graham on the hot seat? Saleh for DC. I don't see why Patrick Graham would be on the hot seat. Simply because, I mean, they've lost Christian Wilkins, Marcus Epps, Malcolm Kuntz. Think about the amount of injuries that team has had on the defensive side of the football. And yet, I mean, they played well last week against the Rams. Sure, they've had a few games that have been bad. But also, look at how many situations. Look at how many situations that the Raiders' offense has put that defense in a bad situation.
It's his son.
I know this. Whether you got, I mean, even if Patrick Graham's defense isn't playing as well as what it has, as soon as Patrick Graham hits the open market, he's finding a job immediately. And when you know that that's the case, that means that you have a good coach. Like, you know, real talk, if Antonio Pierce got fired right now, I don't know if he gets a job. He might get a job as a linebacker coach, but, like, he's not going to get a DC gig. He's not going to get a head coaching gig. Maybe gets a linebacking coach gig. If Patrick Graham hit the open market right now, he gets a legit defensive coordinator job. Hell, there were teams that were interviewing him last season for head coach, and it wasn't just because of the Rooney Rule. Let's go to Nick Sanchez.
I came home from work and someone stole all of my lamps. He was happy, but I was delighted.
Yep. It's good.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. Still not the best, though, Nick.
Blinky, hit me up on Twitter if you do end up winning.
That's pretty good, though.
He said we'll have to send it across the Atlantic.
Across the Atlantic?
I'm guessing Blinky lives over in England.
Oh, boy. Bonjour. I mean, I guess we have to do what we got to do. Got to do what we got to do. Joshua, you're making me blush. You don't have to do that, man. You're making me blush. It's also in all caps, so appreciate it.
One more check, because right after this next segment, we're going to do the duck race for the Ritter jersey.
Okay.
Is there anybody else that is in for that?
Nobody else has entered the duck race. It is still right now 20 to win $120 here on the show. If you want to add me as a friend on Venmo, please do so. Or you can get out your phone right now, scan that QR code with your camera, and get in our duck races. We do a bunch of duck races every single game day. Also on Thursday Night Football. We don't usually do it on Thursday, but since today's show, I thought we'd have – what's today?
Tuesday.
What did I say?
Thursday.
We don't usually do it on Tuesday, and that's just because we usually only do it on Thursday and game day. But Desmond Ritter was signed yesterday. I was unable to go live from the studio, so I said, you know what? Today we're gonna do a duck race today.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep ducking around.
Yeah, we're gonna duck around and find out.
K Smooth, you see that joke?
I got a joke. Gardner Minshew.
You win. Thugador Strawberry says, does Aiden O'Connell start no matter what when he's back? No. I'll say that there is a 95% chance yes, but no. I mean, if Desmond Ritter beats the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? The amount of oh my gods I just got out there. Hey, I'll tell you this. If the Raiders can beat the Chiefs, if the Raiders can beat the Chiefs last season when Aiden did not complete a ball for 3 quarters, my point is this. Antonio Pierce, there was a lot of people that wanted AP to get the job because the Raiders beat the Chiefs. If Desmond Ritter and the Raiders beat the Chiefs this week, you have to at least give Ritter a little bit of consideration to be the starter. If then it's like going up against the Bengals, he lays a stinker. But then, he goes out, you get a week to prepare, goes out and has a good game against the Miami Dolphins. Interesting. The only way that you still keep going with Desmond Ritter when Aiden O'Connell comes back is he's got to win 2 out of the next 3. I think unless Aiden's not ready for like multiple weeks, where if the Raiders lose to the Chiefs and then they lose to the Bengals, but then Ritter ends up playing well week 11, week 12, week 13, they're winning games, then it's a different conversation. But, like, it starts against Kansas City. Like, we have to see improvement. If the Raiders' offense looks a lot better, like, the Raiders don't owe anything to Aiden. Like, AP doesn't care whether or not Aiden's happy or not. I shouldn't say that. I think a lot of people think Aiden O'Connell got Antonio Pierce the job, which I think is one of the craziest statements I've ever heard. Like, Antonio Pierce in the defense got AP that job. Yeah. I don't think Aiden had anything to do with it.
Locho.
Hey, fellas, it's my B-Day. I'm 22.
Hey!
Happy birthday to Locho, 22 years old.
22.
Do you remember what you did on your 22nd birthday?
My 22nd birthday.
Because I legitimately have no idea. Because I know what I did on my 21st.
Yeah.
Don't know what I did on my 22nd. I was a senior in college, though.
My 22nd birthday. I think that was during COVID?
Oh, really? Maybe. For you.
I'm 28 right now.
That math doesn't
So
check.
it was maybe the year before COVID.
Year before? Yeah, I would have been, what? That's 2014?
Maybe 2 years before COVID. What did I do?
2014? On my birthday? I don't remember. Actually, I do remember. I was pitching in a baseball game. We had a baseball game down in South Carolina. My dad drove all the way down to watch me play because it was my birthday. Yep. Richie drives, man.
Yeah.
Richie's a driver. If that surprises anybody at this point, then you don't watch this show often.
How does he get overseas?
It was in South Carolina.
No, I'm saying, but like, if he was ever to go to Germany, or
He did go to Germany.
how did he? No way.
He drove his car on a boat, and that boat transported him to Germany.
No, it did not.
Yes. That's how he gets around. Like, when my dad travels from, he'll go, I want to say it's across Michigan. Or
And does he just sit in his car the whole time?
Yes. It's a week trip to get there.
And he just sits in his car. Like, there has to be food on the boat, right?
Of course, yeah.
Does he bring his own snacks, or?
I'm totally kidding.
Okay, I was like, dude.
No, but
no way.
My dad does enjoy. So there's every year when he like makes his trip around the U.S., he'll take his car on a boat that's like a 2-hour ferry ride to get across the water, or it's a 20-minute drive. He takes the 2-hour ferry ride boat across the water, and he just, what my dad kind of reminds me of when he drives? Jerry from Rick and Morty. He's just like in his own world. He's just doing his own thing.
Slow ride.
Take it easy. Anthony Green, you in? We got a few more people that are getting in this duck race. I will say this. One person did ask, Mitch, if I come in last place, instead of the Desmond Ritter jersey, can I get the hat you're wearing? If you're the person that wins it, yes. If everybody's watching, like, I'd rather just have the hat than a Desmond Ritter jersey, you know what? We can chalk that one up when we get there.
We can. All right.
Patrick B, you're in. Patrick B, you're in. And then Anthony Green, Common Raider, is in. 20 right now to win $160. And we're going to do that duck race after this final segment on the show.
Slow ride.
Which, we're talking trade candidates here. Talking trade candidates. The NFL trade deadline is right around the corner. And
you did this on purpose.
What? Maybe. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. I'll also say this. I got a special surprise for...
call me Snags. We Mitch already broke it down. There's a short on the channel. Mitch did break down the news around Terrace Marshall.
What?
He's saying, Mitch, you missed the news on.
Oh, no. I mean, I will say this. I actually love when people message me, IG, Twitter, even on this show, and they're like, yo, have you seen this? Because to me, in my mind, it's like you think of me when breaking news happens around the Raiders, and I appreciate when you guys send me stuff, but like genuinely, keep doing it because that's the way I stay on top of everything when I do miss something that falls through the cracks. But like, I'm that psychopath where it's very, very rare for me to miss anything. The only time that I feel like I'm late on news is like yesterday when I was walking home, Chuggs is driving, and I was on the phone with my dad, so I didn't see the news like fall down right away, and Chuggs called me. Anytime Jeremy calls me, my heart instantly sinks.
The Raiders just signed Josh McDaniels.
I mean, the phone call you gave me when they fired him, like when I saw my phone vibrate at 1 a.m., I already knew.
You knew that's what it was?
Well, I made the joke to Alex because Alex is like, oh my God, like what was that? And I go, I have to head into the office. Josh McDaniels just got fired. And she's like, I can't believe you answered Jeremy at 1 a.m. And I literally said, I go, it's either Raiders breaking news or he needed me to bail him out. Like that's the first two things that came to my mind.
I just call. What do you dream about at night?
No, I'll tell you this right now. A live Raiders report outside of Jeremy Chuggs' cell would hit.
That would, 2 more bangs and they'll let me out.
10 more bangs and I hit bail.
Never.
They would just say, they'd go, I'm just going to sit there. I'm just going to wait.
We would let Chuggs out, but we're only at 560 likes.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, y'all, let's talk about some players that could potentially be traded. I've never really done this show the way that I'm about to do it, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. Usually I just talk about players that are going to be traded. Today, I'm going to talk about players that the Raiders could keep or that the players should shop.
And also, we didn't even have everybody do it. I see people already doing it in the comments. Spam HBD for Locho.
Let's do it.
Loco terrorita. We were talking about the Harlem Shake yesterday.
Coloterita. Da. Da. Did you guys ever do a Harlem Shake video?
No, do the Harlem.
All right, I got you. I'm going to make you guys a deal right now.
Chip's too young. No way he knows what that is. The Harlem Shake?
Do you know the Harlem Shake?
I mean, you were probably 12
Do you honestly want me to answer that?
I was probably like 14.
I was not 12. I was 13.
It is a big difference. Teenager,
you're
not
man in the Jewish
teenager.
religion.
What was I going to say? All right, here's my deal, okay? Here's my special deal. I made a Harlem Shake video. I will show Raider Nation on Thursday the link to the Harlem Shake video after we get past, we'll just say step 3. One of the steps. That'll be the deal. The deal will be like, need 1 bang for a Harlem Shake video. And I'll show it to you.
Now do the Harlem.
We got a Harlem Shake video. It's my birthday next year from Jake Shepard. Makes sense.
Congrats.
My birthday also next year in February. Nab man, you're a real one. All right, y'all. Let's get into this show. We're going to talk about some players that could and will not be traded by the Silver and Black. That's coming up on today's show. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Reporting. Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about some Silver and Black players that could potentially be dealt at the NFL trade deadline. If you do not know, the deadline is Tuesday, November 5th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, which quite frankly, I don't think there's anything going on that day, at least nothing important off the top of my head. We're going to be live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, so make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you got those notifications turned on because if the Raiders make a trade, we're going to be live. We're going to be making a video around it. But the way that I'm doing today's show, I'm doing this show a little bit different compared to the way that I've done this show before. So coming up here on the Raiders Report, I got 10 Raiders players. And I'm going to tell you which players that if I was to let go, if I'm Antonio Pierce, I would shop to try to trade away before the deadline. Or I'm going to talk about players that this team should keep. It's 10 players that continuously get linked to trade rumors, reports, players that do honestly make sense for us to move on from. and some that do not make sense for us to move on from. Let's go to the very first player here that I'm going to discuss. It's Andre James, and if I'm the Raiders, I am putting Andre James on the trade block, and I'm saying, hey, who wants to come shop for our starting center? Because if it's up to me right now, I'm trying to trade Andre James, and if I'm unable to trade him after weeks 8 and after week 9, I'm putting him on the bench. Dylan Parham, JPJ deserve to start at center over Andre James. Whoever doesn't win that battle, you put James over on the bench, and whoever wins that battle between JPJ and Dylan Parham, one guy's at left guard, one guy's at center. Jordan Meredith, I'm putting him at right guard because simply he's a better player. Now, some of you are going to go, well, Mitch, he just signed a 3-year deal worth $24 million. I understand that. And coming up, I'm going to be able to show you the ins and outs of how these certain contracts are going to be able to work. So for a guy like Andre James, he did just sign a 3-year extension this offseason, but he has been awful. He's got a base salary of $4 million this year. So the team owes him, whoever ends up trading for him, $222K a game if he's dealt. And the fact that the Raiders drafted Jackson Powers Johnson tells me that here's the thing, we're going to have to potentially move on from him at some point. Let's go to another player here. It's Colton Miller, and this might shock you. I'm going to say it's time to shop Colton Miller as well. I like Miller. He's a really good dude. I've had the opportunity to meet him a few times, but he does want a new contract. And it's going to be really hard to convince me with a player that has had the injuries that Miller has. Now, if he keeps on playing a lot better, which he's played a little bit better over the past few weeks, but at 30 years old, does anybody here want to give Colton Miller a brand new contract, a bigger contract? I don't think that the Raiders are going to do that because I would rather allocate my money in some other areas. Is offensive line important? Yes, absolutely. But if I want to draft a quarterback in 2025, can we potentially draft a left tackle in the second round? Or do you just keep rolling with DJ Glaze at right tackle, who is showing you that he can get the job done, but then also you can potentially kick over Thayer Munford at left tackle if need be. I think that the highest value trade that the Raiders could get this season out of any player that you're going to see on this show that I'm saying to actually shop is Colton Miller. And if Colton Miller means trading away our left tackle this season to potentially get a higher draft pick next year, I'm willing to do it. Let's go to this guy right here, and you probably already know what I'm going to say. Max Crosby, we're keeping the Condor. But I feel like I got to keep saying it over and over and over again. The Raiders will not trade Max Crosby. Max Crosby does not want to be traded. And if you haven't already seen my video that says the Las Vegas Raiders are never going to trade 98, I want you to go check it out. I know people are busy. I know that people don't have time to watch this show all the time. But I have already made an entire video around the fact that the Raiders are not going to trade number 98. They're not going to trade the Condor. But he is one of the top names that continuously gets brought up in trade rumors. So I had to show him at least on today's show. Let's go to the defensive tackle spot, and this one breaks my heart. John Jenkins at defensive tackle. I'm saying that the Raiders need to shop him. If you haven't noticed, I believe that the Raiders are going to be sellers at the deadline. They're not going to be buyers with a 2-5 record. The reason why I am shopping John Jenkins and losing Jenkins and also losing Christian Wilkins is a huge kick in the nuts to this defense. No doubt about it. But he is 35 years old. He's going to be a free agent in 2025. And if I'm the Raiders and I know that this season's probably going to be a lost cause, I'm going to start trying to use and see what I got in some of my younger players. I know that the Raiders just moved on from Nesta Jade Silvera, but according to a source to me, Nesta Jade, let's just say, was doing some things inside that locker room that he should not have been doing, which is one of the reasons why he ended up getting the boot. Sure, the Raiders also promoted Zach Carter, who they recently signed, but the Raiders, if you moved on from Jenkins, probably only going to get a 7th-round pick overall. I hate this move, but if I'm thinking long-term, and I know at 35 years old, Jenkins is probably not going to be back next season. So if I can get a 7th-round pick for him, I'm going to try to build up that draft capital. That way this destination spot looks a little bit more appealing. Maybe, I don't know, a Ben Johnson. Let's go to the next name here. It's Jacoby Myers, and I've seen Myers' name being brought up by ESPN. I've seen Jacoby's name being brought up by Dan Graziano, and I'm saying that the Raiders need to keep Jacoby. He does have one more year after this season remaining on his contract, and Myers is really excited to be a number 1 receiver. If you trade away Jacoby right now, you're legitimately saying that I don't care what this offense looks like, and I don't know if you can truly evaluate what you got in Luke Getsy. I don't know if you can truly evaluate what you got in Desmond Ritter, and Gardner Minshew, which is crazy enough, and Aiden O'Connell. But it's not just that. Jacoby Myers is the opposite of a diva. Jacoby Myers is the type of receiver that I think a lot of NFL teams want. A guy that doesn't say a lot, but shows up every single week and gives you 110%. A player that's going to bring that physicality. A player that's not afraid to block. A player that's not going to demand targets, but he is not a great wide receiver 2 option, but he's a good wide receiver 2 to have. He's getting an opportunity to be a number 1. And if I'm going and looking for a quarterback next season, if you don't have Jacoby and you're without Devontae, that means you got to figure out a way to go out and get a big-time receiver. Doesn't cost a lot of money. The Raiders still need to get a receiver next season, but at least having Jacoby as your number 2 next year and paying him only about $10 million, which $0 million guaranteed, you can probably restructure that contract a little bit, but the Raiders need to keep Jacoby Myers. Hey, man, if you haven't seen one of our OGs, Mount Raider Moore, his name is Justin Abjin. He owns his very own plumbing company. It's called Jetstream Plumbing. I have an ask, a favor here from the nation. If you guys could do me a solid, that link is in the comments and description of today's show. It's also in the live chat right now if you're watching this live. I need you guys to leave a 5-star review for Justin Abjin. This guy bangs more than anybody on this show during this season, and he's also trying to help his own company. One initiative that I told my bosses that I want to be able to do, and don't get me wrong, I appreciate a lot of our other sponsors here on the show, but if you guys own a business and you support this channel the way that this guy does, I'm going to put you on this show, and I'm going to send the nation. So if you're somebody who supports your own, if you're somebody that no matter what, you support Raider Nation, leave a 5-star review for Jetstream Plumbing. And I want to tell you about the company here just a little bit, Chuggs. Jetstream team is licensed with 50-plus years of experience and are ready to handle any commercial or residential plumbing job in Boise, Meridian, Eagle, Coonan, Nappen, Middleton, Caldwell, Garden City, Emmett, and the surrounding Treasure Valley. I don't know where that is, but hey, estimates, call 208-400-3353, or you can fill out a contact form. No job is too big or too small. Abjin supports me on this show, and I hope Raider Nation goes leave some 5-star reviews. It's going to take you less than 60 seconds for a guy that always shows love to this channel. Abjin, it's all love. Go support Jetstream Plumbing because it is owned and operated by a Raider fan. Let's keep it moving here on the Raiders trade block. Divine Diablo, I'm saying to shop him. And Divine has done a much better job since coming back from the injury. Fluey says that's in Idaho, Mitch. I appreciate that. Which I knew with Boise. But for Divine Diablo, I'm saying to shop him because you're going to have a tough decision to make at the end of the season no matter what. And because you're going to have that tough decision at the end of the season, sooner or later you're going to have to make a decision on what you want to do with Double D, right? And Divine has been a player that when he was first coming out of Virginia Tech, free safety, they converted him to linebacker. It took a little bit while. Has had a lot of injury concerns out there, but because he's been playing better and he looks a lot faster, he looks a lot quicker, maybe there's a team that's going to give you a 7th-round pick for him. But he's going to be a free agent in 2025. That's on me. Free agent in 2025, not 24. And if the Raiders extend a linebacker, it's not going to be Diablo. It's going to be Robert Spillane. So to me, you can't allow Robert Spillane and Diablo to both hit the open market. You're going to have to pick one. I'm going to pick Spillane every single day of the week and twice on Tuesday. Plus, the Raiders drafted Tommy Eichenberg. So that's another reason why you know Diablo's not going to come back. At least pick up the phone, shop him out there. Who knows? Maybe a team wants to pick up Diablo. Let's go to another player here that's going to be a free agent in 2025. It is Trevon Merrick at the safety position. But I'm saying that the Raiders should keep Merrick. When the Raiders lost Marcus Epps, that just put a whole lot more on Merrick's plate, and Merrick has, I think, done a much better job stopping the run, dropping back into coverage. The Raiders ask him to do a lot of different things, and they kind of ask him now to be, that leader in the secondary because it's not going to be Ja'Cory, and it's not going to be Nate Hobbs, it's not Jack Jones. Marcus Epps wore that C on his chest for a reason. Now the fact that Epps is down, now they're looking at Merrick. But again, if you know that you're going to have free agents in the offseason, and he's only 25 years old, I'm figuring out a way to bring back Trevon Merrick on a contract extension. And quite frankly, there's 7 players that I would say right now are legit extension candidates for the silver and black, and Trevon Merrick is up there. I'll tell you this right now. If you're not planning on extending any of these players here, then you should shop them at the NFL trade deadline. If it's up to me, though, the players that I'm going to focus on trying to get a deal done in the offseason with, I want the Raiders to bring back Adam Butler. Quite frankly, like Adam Butler, you can make an argument, might be the number one priority on this list. That's how good he's played. Nate Hobbs has got to be brought back. Robert Spillane's got to be brought back. Trevon Merrick, we got to figure out a way to bring him back. It sucks that you're not going to bring back Kuntz, Epps, or Devine, but also, Epps and Kuntz are battling with some injuries right now. You either extend these players or you try to trade them. And that's as simple as it is, which is why I'm trying to keep Trevon Merrick. I know it's not going to be easy, but the Raiders are projected to have about $108 million in salary cap space. They're projected to have about the fourth most in salary cap space next season. We have the money to extend some of those players, especially since we didn't go out and do it already this year. Let's go to the next player that the Raiders should try to trade away. Gardner Minshew. Maybe you heard of him. I'm at the point right now where I can't afford to watch Minshew play another game for the Las Vegas Raiders because he can't start. And it's not just on Minshew, but we've seen how bad Gardner Minshew is with Luke Getsy behind this offensive line. It's a quarterback that has absolutely no confidence. Also, Aiden's going to be back in 4 to 6 weeks. The Raiders signed Desmond Ritter, and you also have Carter Bradley on the practice squad. Quite frankly, there's no reason to put Minshew out there on the field. And also, when you look at the ins and outs of Minshew's contract, the Raiders, if you're going to pay him $14 million next year, that's your decision. I'm not paying Gardner Minshew $14 million next offseason. So what am I going to do? I'm going to trade him now for literally anything that I can get. And I don't even know if you're going to get anything for him, but I would trade him right now because it saves the Raiders more money in the long run if you trade him this season compared to trying to trade him next offseason, or what I think is probably going to end up happening, the Raiders having to cut Gardner Minshew. So here's a brand new YouTube feature, which I love the fact that they are launching this because I finally get to see y'all stats. We always talk about stats with Brock Bowers, like 47 catches, 477 yards, a touchdown, and 88.3 overall PFF grade. Well, guess what? I don't know if y'all know this. If you're subscribed to this channel, you have stats. Seriously, check this new feature out. When I click on y'all, I can see how many times that you've commented on this show. I can see how many times I've hearted your comment. I can also see when you comment on the video. There is nobody that's commented more on Raiders Report videos than Jaime Alvarado Sr. It's why he's a top commenter. It's why he's got 131 hearts. What about Ron Raspberry? Another one of our top commenters here, 55 hearts. What about Dylan Vasquez? Dylan, get those numbers up a little bit. 15 comments, but you know what? You're still taking time out of your day to hit that subscribe button, to comment on these videos. Mad Vet Raider, I promise y'all this. I am going to start showing a lot more of y'all stats because this is a channel that's built on the backs of Raider Nation. And quite frankly, it's people like Mad Vet. It's people like Ron Raspberry. It's people like Jaime. It's people like all y'all that are watching the show right now that make this thing grow. I'm loud. I know that I'm loud. I know Chuggs and I together are pretty loud. But when we get all of us together, man, there's nobody louder than Raider Nation. So I want to be able to show you guys these new stats. So if you want to get those numbers up, hey, man, keep commenting, keep commenting, keep commenting. Let's go to the next player. It's Nate Hobbs, and I'm saying that the Raiders need to keep him as well. I don't think that this is going to be a player that gets the franchise tag. Somebody asked me that a few days ago, and I said no because he's a slot corner, and paying a franchise tag corner means you're going to pay him like an outside guy when the Raiders are going to try to pay him as an inside corner. I'll admit you should still try to maybe pay him a little bit more than what some slot corners get because of his versatility. You can line him up at safety. You can line him up at outside corner. But I want to keep Nate Hobbs because I want Nate Hobbs to be a part of this team, young player that does the right things. Let's go to then the final guy on this list. It's Dylan Parham, and this is somebody who I know has been battling some injuries, but overall, I want him to be a part of this franchise for a long time. And I know that this is a Josh McDaniels guy, but when you have an offensive lineman that has the versatility that Parham does and legitimately can play every single spot on the offensive line, probably outside of left tackle, that deserves a lot of recognition. I also want the Raiders to move on from Andre James. So that means you got Dylan Parham, Jackson Powers Johnson. That's a good interior that you can roll with this year and you can roll with in the future. I know that Parham at times maybe has been benched, and I'll be real, I don't know if he's in the best light with the Raiders because they brought in, Cody Whitehair. There was some rumors that I've heard that I'm not going to bring up right now around the coaching staff and Parham. But, like, if there's no beef there, then you got to figure out a way to keep him, and I hope that you're able to keep him happy for a few years down the road. But Parham is a player because of his status, I guess, with Josh McDaniels. I'll also say that there is one NFL team that I know for a fact that is called the Raiders about Dylan Parham because they're in desperate need of a guard. So if the Raiders can hold off on that, if the price tag's really good, though, I would trade Parham right now for I would want a 4th-round pick back, which you're probably not going to get. So maybe a 5th-round pick. 4th or 5th is what I would expect from Parham. And if it's anything less than that, then I don't want to trade him, man. So one more time here are the Raiders on the trade block. I'm shopping Andre James, Colton Miller, John Jenkins. I'm shopping Divine Diablo, Gardner Minshew, but I'm keeping Trevon Merrick. I'm keeping Nate Hobbs, Dylan Parham, Max Crosby, and Jacoby Myers. If you enjoyed today's show and you made it this far in the vid, seriously, hit that like button. Believe it or not, I would like to see that people enjoyed this little bit of a different style of video that I've done in years past. If you're also not planning on joining me when we go live for Thursday Night Football, what the hell are you waiting for? One guy who I know is going to be here, Justin Avgin. He's been the MVP, I want to say, for 3 straight weeks on Thursday Night Football. He's a diehard Dodgers fan. For those who don't know, I'm a diehard Mets fan. And he said that if the Dodgers win, he's going to make me dress up as Mookie Betts in a Dodgers hat. That one's going to be a little bit painful, I'm not going to lie. So if you want to see me in pain, tune in Thursday night, hit that subscribe button, and seriously, go leave a 5-star review for Avgin. That guy does a lot for this channel. All right, Chuggy Bull, last chance for you to get in. $20 Venmo.
What a feeling.
At Mitchell Renz 365. Chuggs, I'm going to send you the list right now. It's 20 to win $160
Sanchez
on the show.
This must be a dad joke.
Sign Gruden as OC. Chucky will get it done.
Not the best joke we've
Yeah,
got.
not the best dad joke that I've heard. Jack, why shouldn't you make fun of a paleontologist? Because you'll get your ass kicked.
Dude,
I'm a sucker for a good dinosaur joke. You get your ass kicked?
I think this one's my favorite.
Really?
This one's one for me.
I'll tell you that I've just never heard of this one.
You'll get your ass kicked.
Can you go back to the other one so I can see it again? Is that possible? Dude, are you getting sick? 'Cause
There's this one too.
You sound like Dick. Steve! Sorry, boys. I have more. Why did the lion go to therapy? He found out his wife was a cheetah. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Steve L. Jurassic kicked, and then Blinky. Can you read it? Because I can't see it all.
We're driving and I see a bunch of cows. And I always say, we're driving and I see a bunch of cows. And I say, look, a flock of cows. One of the kids says, herd of cows. I say, of course I've heard of them. There's a flock of them right there.
That's a great joke.
That one's good.
All right, I'm gonna let them vote. 1 or 2.
1 is Blinky, 2 is Jack.
I like it. Jurassic kicked. Again, I'm a sucker for dinosaurs. Sucker for dinosaurs. Is there any other one that you're like, that one was funnier? What do you guys think?
Steve had some good ones.
Steve L had some great. Steve was going for it today. Steve L was going for it today. Somebody said the cheetah from Sam. The cheetah was great. I'm seeing a mix right now. Dude, there's a lot of 2s. There's some 1s in there. I think it's 2 now, dude.
I thought Jax was hilarious.
You thought Jax was the best?
As the second funniest person in the office, according to Coop, I got to go with Jack.
Yeah, I guess I can't talk because I was like behind the janitor, apparently.
It's you and then Kevin. 93 Nav man.
What's up, Nab? Is it far-fetched to say we should beat the Chiefs?
Yes.
Yep. It is, dude. Like, they're the best team in football. We're not. I mean, I will say this. And, you know, we've been saying it like in a joking matter all day today. And don't get me wrong, I even laugh when I say it out loud. The Raiders did beat the Baltimore Ravens this season, though. Like, how the Raiders ever beat the Ravens, I think it just goes to show that anybody can beat anybody in the NFL any given week.
I don't think it's far-fetched to say that you could. Saying that you should?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
1.
Fire Luke Getsy. Try backyard football with Rudler. It can't get any worse. Backyard football. Did anybody here ever play backyard football?
With the Rudler.
Did you ever play backyard football?
I did not.
I had backyard football, backyard baseball,
I didn't do,
backyard hockey,
I didn't do
backyard
any of that.
basketball.
I didn't have any backyard games. But I was a little spoiled. Me and my brothers shared a GameCube whenever I was little.
So I had a computer, which I would say the games that I played the most growing up were the backyard sports games and then Roller Coaster Tycoon.
On GameCube, it was, for me at least.
That's when I was a kid.
GameCube, it was Madden.
Yep.
It was SSX Tricky. It was...
Ooh, SSS Tricky.
Oh, that was a good one. One other. NBA Jam.
NBA Jam, that's a good one.
WWE and NFL Street.
My favorite game on the GameCube was Mario Baseball, actually.
Yes. I loved Mario Baseball.
Mario Baseball on the GameCube was probably my favorite game.
Yes, Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk Pro Skate.
Never played that.
That was a great game.
I think I played that game. I want to say that was on Xbox, though, for me. I feel like it was on Xbox.
All right. Send over the list if you could.
Already did.
Oh, wow.
List is already in your lap, good sir.
While I get the race ready, can we just spam FKC for a second?
Dude, I'll tell you this. I don't know if you guys have seen this whole Anthony Edwards thing, but now he's saying that he's trying to be in Minnesota for his whole career, but I don't know if you guys saw this. Oh, my God, my back. I don't know if you guys saw, like, Anthony Edwards say, like, if he ends up winning a title in the next 3 to 4 years, like, he'd try to play in the NFL. That would be crazy. I don't think that that's the case, though. Subscribe or else you're probably a Chiefs fan. It's Chiefs week here, and like I said, I don't care if we don't win a game for the rest of the year. When we play the Chiefs, and if Derek Carr's starting in that Saints game, we're going to go nuts. When they play the Chargers, we're balling. When they play the Broncos, we're balling. That's what the nation does. That's what the nation does.
They ball.
We get up here, and we ball. Winner of the duck race going on with 160 doll hairs. It's a good amount of doll hairs, okay? Good amount of doll hairs. Whoever comes in last place, you can either get a Desmond Ritter jersey or... let's see if we do Desmond Ritter jersey.
Dun, 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 dun.
Desmond Ritter DHK jersey.
Dun, dun, dun.
You ready?
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's run it here on the Raiders Report. Winner gets...
You're in the Shark Tank.
160.
This
This is like every time when I was a kid, I'd get in the deep end of a pool. I always thought I saw this.
Jack Hossel, message Mitch on Venmo, $1, or message me on Twitter to claim your lanyard from Navman.
Does anybody else, if you got into a pool right now, would it freak you out if you were the only person in a pool and it was deep end? You're good?
Like just in a normal pool?
Yep, normal pool.
No.
So when I was a kid, if I'd hop in a pool, I always thought like there was a shark in the deep end. When I was a kid. Like it would freak me out. Like if I was the only one in the pool, couldn't do it. Am I the only one, or is that just a crazy thing? That's crazy?
Baby
really?
Shark.
Am I the only one? Y for yes, N for no. We got Patrick B. Rosario coming down the line. Ooh, Super Smash Bros. Great game. Come on. Come on, Ed Robbins. Come on, Ed Robbins.
Oh, wait, no, you do have Jack on. Jack got into the race.
Yes, I do. Sorry, Jack. Mr. Jack Hustle.
But maybe more important.
Address.
Philip.
Please.
Philip Bogart.
Philip, I believe. Philip, I actually want to say that I already am going to send you a Raiders Report hat, so you might as well.
Oh, this is for the Ritter.
I know, but there were some people that were saying, hey, I put it out there that I'd give you a hat, but Philip got one, I want to say, from Thursday.
Throwing a lanyard. with the Ritter jersey.
A lanyard and the Ritter jersey. You got it. All right. Where's the name here for Mr. Edward Robbins?
Eduardo Rubino.
Congrats to Ed Robbins. Ed, if you could please confirm that you just received 160 doll hairs.
And one more reminder before we head out, actually. Smitty. Smitward. Smithy. We already had Allie kind of tell the people what's going on tonight. I see you're wearing a championship T-shirt.
This is a certain championship that may or may not have been won in June. My Boston Celtics, they're officially starting their title defense tonight against the New York Knicks. It's ring night, and we're going to be live on Celtics Today by Chat Sports. Join us if you're willing to have a good party, because that's what's going to be there.
Oh yeah. Any deals that you want to let the nation know of?
Listen, if somebody comes in there and
Giggity.
I can't say a word on this show. What'd you say? All right, that's what was just said. The leader of Celtics Today, Allie Barefoot, says if we get $500 in super chats in the pregame, and it's going to be a long pregame, so we got time, it's a beer boot race for myself and Allie Barefoot.
Wow, $500 boot race.
Shit.
I might have to.
What time do you guys go live?
5:45.
A live arrive at 5:45.
If that happens before 6 o'clock, if it happens before 6, so 15 minutes, in the first 15 minutes, I'm joining you.
Okay. All right.
I'm joining you. If it happens in the first 15, I'm in.
Josh is saying, when are we going to get another Chuck stream?
Another Chuck stream? The next time I do a random live from home. Though, I've been joking, trying to figure out if I could bring Chuck in here. Because they do. They bring dogs in. So if they do it, why can't we? Am I right? Chuck here, though, would probably break some shit.
If you can say it, I can say it.
I like it. All right, y'all. Peace out. I'll see you guys Thursday night. Make sure you pull up on the Raiders Report.